Hello and welcome to Chinese Novel Audiobook. Explore our playlist for more captivating novels, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 81, Stone Covert Weapon. By the way, branch leader, you left without paying the bill for our previous meal. Are you going to hold it off or settle it now? Man Ji-yu asked right before he was about to leave. Lu Yang hastily interjected. Man Ji-yu, shush. As part of the diabolic path, it is only right and proper of us to dine and dash. How could the branch leader be the type of good person who pays for their meals? Meng Jingzhou concurred, exactly. What the branch leader said was that he would treat us, not settle the bill. How could you not even make such a simple distinction? Branch leader Chu, I must admit that when it comes to making sarcastic jabs at people, I'm no match for these three. He gritted his teeth, resisting the urge to hit them, and threw a gold ingot to Man Ji-yu. Keep the change. You three, get out of here right now. Man Gu's face was one of bewilderment. I'm just asking for money like a normal person would, but why do Brother Lu and Brother Meng sound strange? They seem to be speaking for me and the branch leader at the same time. By the time the trio left, it was already late at night. Lu Yang gazed up at the resplendent starry sky and remarked, who would have thought that the stars in the sky are all fake? That was totally unexpected, truly unexpected. Meng Jingzhou scratched his head. It's not that unexpected, right? Since I was young, my grandfather has told me that he'd get anything I wanted, including the stars in the sky. I was about 7 or 8 when I pointed at a star and said that I wanted it. My grandfather then traveled to the universe. When he returned, he placed a speck of light the size of a fingernail in my hands, saying that it was a star. Coincidentally, there was also one less star in the sky. I gestured to my grandfather, telling him that stars should be very big, even bigger than our courtyard. He just smiled mysteriously and claimed that stars were indeed this small. What happened after that? Lu Yang was intrigued. After that, someone who seemed to be a high-ranking official from the Ministry of Justice came. They said that my grandfather was guilty of stealing natural resources and demanded that he return the star. My grandfather returned that speck of light, and a star appeared in the night sky again. At the time, I already felt that something was fishy, but I couldn't figure out what it was. Over time, I forgot about it. Hearing about all this today, I realized that what I held in my hand then was really a star. As expected of someone from the Meng family. Your childhood experience is already very different from ours. Lu Yang shook his head, trying to recall what he was doing during his own childhood. Oh, I've remembered. When I was young, I was reminiscing about my life before transmigration in the classical poems I had to memorize, such as, the lofty tower stands 100 kai high, I could pluck the stars with my hand. I dare not speak in a loud voice, lest I disturb those up in the sky. 1. I could only pluck stars in poems while Meng Jingzhou could pluck stars in reality. This is truly what disparity looks like. Recently, Lu Yang had been contemplating whether he should write a novel like The Drifting Earth, but in the context of this world, it was probably not planets pushing the Earth but rather a formidable cultivator. The trio didn't continue dwelling on the issues of the stars and continent any longer. Such matters were too distant for them. With their current cultivation, they even struggled with lifting huge rocks, much less moving stars. Rest early. Tomorrow, we will visit our fellow Creed members in prison. The three yawned. At the Foundation establishment stage, they could sit in meditation in place of sleeping. Although the effects were the same, the three of them still preferred to sleep. Sit in meditation. We'll leave it for the Golden Core stage. Early the next morning, Lu Yang found Constable Captain Wei, who readily approved his request to visit the prison and handed him a slip of paper. Right as Lu Yang stepped inside, he felt as if his spirit energy was shackled, unable to manipulate any of it. Even his body became sluggish. Is this the spirit energy disabling array? Lu Yang was surprised. He hadn't expected the spirit energy disabling array to be as powerful as what Captain Wei had described. When Captain Wei approved of Lu Yang's visit to the prison, he had cautioned him to be careful of the spirit energy disabling array in the prison. It was specifically designed with cultivators in mind. Within the range of the array, cultivators' cultivation will be frozen, preventing them from using any spells. This was to thwart prison breaks and escapes. As the spirit energy disabling array was of a high tier, even golden core cultivators would be restricted. There were no exceptions. Lu Yang had arrived just as the prison wardens were changing shifts. The prison wardens from the day shift yawned with tears in their eyes in a daze as if they hadn't woken up. As for the night shift wardens who were about to get off, they were in good spirits and teased, "Old Joe, aren't you usually the most energetic? Why are you so tired today? You didn't do something shameful or secretive last night, right?" Old Joe's mouth opened wide as he finished yawning before saying, "I don't know what's been going on recently. I just can't seem to wake up. It's hard to get up in the morning. And it's not just me, the same goes for my wife. Before coming here, I even washed my face, but I'm still sleepy." The night shift prison warden smiled. "It must be because you did something at night that kept you from sleeping well. Look at me, I'm not tired." Old Joe's mouth twitched. "You're a cultivator, you're different from me." The night shift prison warden waved dismissively, "I'm just at the level 1 chi training stage. Whether I'll even reach level 2 is totally up in the air. I'm not really a cultivator." The prison's rule was that the wardens in the day shift would be mortals while the wardens in the night shift would be level 1 chi training cultivators, as the latter could ensure that they stay awake and vigilant during the night. Cultivators were unwilling to be suppressed by the spirit energy disabling array and be no different from mortals. However, it was clearly inadequate to only have level 1 chi training prison wards on guard, so there were covert sentinels posted outside to keep watch as cultivators. Kai Zulong was infamous for his ruthlessness among the rogue diabolic cultivators in nearby commanderies. He thought that after he joined the diabolic creed, he would realize his grand ambitions, carve out his own territory, and become the local tyrant. Even imprisonment couldn't change his aspirations. "Since I'm in prison, I'll become the prison tyrant first. The first hurdle standing in front of me is that I'm unable to intimidate others." Kai Zulong was currently confined in a cage where even Foundation establishment cultivators couldn't break free. He didn't even have a weapon at hand. The people in the neighboring cells were relentless with their insults or sarcasm. Kai Zulong could only grind his teeth in rage. At this moment, his cellmate Shen Jinyi came up with an idea. He held a small stone in his mouth and spit it out. The stone shot out like a bullet with incredible power. One could only imagine the impact if it struck a person. As a killer, Shen Jinyi was well versed in using various items as covert weapons. As brothers in the same dire straits, we should all the more cooperate sincerely and forge a way out together. Shen Jinyi said with the code of brotherhood. "Once you learn this technique from me, you'll be invincible in prison. Let's conquer the prison together." Greatly spurred on by his words, Kai Zulong woke up early and slept late just so that he could diligently learn to use his mouth to shoot stone covert weapons with his mouth. Unfortunately, Kai Zulong lacked the talent. Despite his brute strength, he couldn't master the technique at all. "You have to do it this way. Hold air in your mouth, then spit it out. Speed is key," Shen Jinyi demonstrated, trying hard to teach Kai Zulong. "I know, it's just spitting it out." Kai Zulong was getting impatient. No, that's wrong, you're not pouting enough. It should be like this. Like this." Lu Yang stood outside, looking at both Kai Zulong and Shen Jinyi pouting, wondering if he should remind them that such a scene could be easily misunderstood. "Let me capture this with a recording orb first." Chapter 82, Faithfully Reported. "Long time no see, I've brought you some food." Lu Yang's attitude was amiable, a result of his training at the barbecue shop. After more than a month of practice, Lu Yang's fake smile was so convincing that Meng Jingzhou praised his smile for being as genuine as his own. Kai Zulong was in the middle of pouting when he heard Lu Yang's voice. He rapidly turned his head, malice in his eyes. "If it weren't for you calling the constables over to eat, how would I have ended up in this mess? Why are you here?" Kai Zulong's tone was harsh. "The first time I saw this fellow, he tricked me by pretending to be an examiner. During the meal a few days ago, he even set me up. He's full of evil ideas. And now he's being a hypocrite by bringing food. He's definitely up to no good." Compared to a ruthless murderer like himself, Kai Zulong felt that Lu Yang was even more despicable and shameless. Lu Yang had no intention of playing with Kai Zulong in prison. All of us still have to help each other out in the future. There's no point in straining our relationship. This is also the branch leader's wish. However, Lu Yang's hearing might not have been the best, and he misheard Kai Zulong asking him whether he had become an administrator. What? How did you know that I've been promoted to an administrator? But don't be too agitated. As long as you perform well, you can also become an administrator. I didn't expect Kai Zulong to be so well informed even in prison. Lu Yang even took out his waist tablet to flaunt, the characters for administrator, extremely striking. Kai Zulong almost had fumes emitting from his head. The heavens must be blind. Lu Yang tried to comfort him, don't be angry. The branch leader also sent me here with a message for you. Hearing that branch leader Chu had a message for him, Kai Zulong calmed down a little. The branch leader still values me greatly to personally send a message. What did he say? He said that it's best that you try to build rapport with me. Kai Zulong flew into a rage. The branch leader really thinks highly of this fellow. I'd rather die than get along with you. Seeing how Kai Zulong blatantly disobeyed the branch leader's instructions, Lu Yang sighed and left the food before leaving. The prisoners drooled when they caught a whiff of the food's aroma. They couldn't get such delicious food in prison. Lu Yang was much kinder to the others, encouraging them to reform themselves properly in prison and strive to turn over a new leaf after their release so that they could benefit the central continent. His words were filled with so much concern that people might have misunderstood that the prisoners would be staying in prison for at least 10 years. After leaving the prison, Lu Yang faithfully reported to branch leader Chu about his work updates. I brought food to visit Kai Zulong in prison and said that there have been some misunderstandings between us. All of us are fellow companions, and we'll be working with each other in the future, so building rapport would make our work more convenient. I stressed that this was your instruction, and I even mentioned that as long as he performs well, he can also become an administrator just like me. I didn't expect Kai Zulong to fly into a rage and start cursing, claiming that the reason I became an administrator was that someone was blind. He declared that he'd rather die than get along with me. I don't remember his exact words, but this was the general gist. Branch leader Chu's gaze immediately turned frigid. Who did he say was blind? Lu Yang hurriedly bowed. He gingerly raised his head to look at branch leader Chu and replied in trepidation, that person's position is too high, and it'll be too disrespectful. I don't dare to say. Branch leader Chu had already formed an answer in his heart. All right, I got it. You may go back. Lu Yang sighed. Kai Zulong really doesn't have a filter. Branch leader, please don't say that you heard this from me. I might have remembered wrongly. Branch leader Chu waved his hand impatiently. That's a given. After Lu Yang left, branch leader Chu tapped on his jade chair and snorted coldly. Kai Zulong, how dare you say that I'm blind? Things were as usual that day. Meng Jingzhou strolled around the streets. Man Ji-yu exercised and tempered his body in the backyard. The tiger henchman ghost skewered in the main hall. Lu Yang did his laundry. As Lu Yang's clothes were ordinary, they couldn't be spotless. Damn it, why can't I master the garment cleansing incantation? Lu Yang grumbled as he scrubbed his clothes. He was the only one among the three who needed to wash his clothes. When I have the money, I definitely have to buy a set of clothes that doesn't need washing. A while ago, he had consulted Meng Jingzhou to learn the garment cleansing incantation. Meng Jingzhou didn't know the spell personally, but he had a book titled Minor Spells for Everyday Life. His younger sister had secretly slipped it to him before he left. This book recorded a spell called Garment Cleansing Incantation. As the name suggested, it was an incantation that could make one's clothes clean. It was simple and easy to pick up. The three of them gathered together to learn it. Meng Jingzhou and Man Ji-yu were the first to master it. As a refreshing burst of spirit energy descended from above, their filthy clothes instantly became pristine, as if they were brand new. Meng Jingzhou and Man Ji-yu were elated. Working in the barbecue shop meant that it was easy for them to soil their clothes, which was very troublesome. Given Meng Jingzhou's wealth, he naturally had a set of specially refined clothes that was a magical artifact that automatically kept itself clean and needed no washing. However, the clothes' quality was too high that it would reveal his background, and that would not be advantageous for staying hidden in the diabolic creed. Lu Yang's high aptitude for spells was well recognized. He did learn the spell, but the results were somewhat unexpected. After casting the garment cleansing incantation, space distorted, and a brand new set of clothes appeared out of nowhere. When it happened, Lu Yang had fallen silent for a long time. He wanted to curse but didn't know where to start. In terms of sequence, this was the first spatial spell Lu Yang had learned, holding much significance for him. In terms of innovation, this was a novel transformation of the garment cleansing incantation, equivalent to creating a new spatial spell. In terms of logic, there was no logic. Lu Yang stared at the collar labeled, "for so and so," and realized that the clothing was likely a custom-made garment from a tailor store. Before the customer could collect their clothes, he had summoned it with his spatial spell. Why does the garment cleansing incantation I cast summon a brand new set of clothes instead? What would happen if I cast the body cleansing incantation? Lu Yang was furious, thinking that the heavens probably found him too brilliant and had to purposely restrict his talent and spells. He naturally couldn't wear the clothes since they belonged to someone else. However, Lu Yang didn't know who the owner was, so he couldn't return them even if he wanted to. Meng Jingzhou even kindly offered to perform the real garment cleansing incantation to help Lu Yang wash his clothes. After several attempts, it ended in failure. The garment cleansing incantation could only be used for clothes worn by oneself. Lu Yang couldn't possibly remove his clothes and let Meng Jingzhou wear them just so that he could let Meng Jingzhou clean the clothes before removing them again and passing them back to him. Oh well, I can only wash the clothes manually by myself. After Lu Yang was done with his laundry, he wanted to hang the clothes outside the window but accidentally caused the laundry drying pole to slip, and it was aimed straight at a passerby. Be careful. Unexpectedly, the passerby had excellent reflexes and sidestepped the laundry drying pole. Lu Yang hurried downstairs and realized that the passerby was a new acquaintance. It was Lan Ting, the disciple from the Moon Laurel Celestial Palace who had helped them with fighting the tiger demon on Pine Mountain. Lu Yang was puzzled. It's been more than 1 month since then. Why is she still here? Lan Ting lowered her head and stared at the laundry drying pole on the ground in silence, her brow slightly furrowed as if she was ruminating about a problem. Lu Yang asked curiously, "What are you thinking about?" Lan Ting blurted out, "I was wondering why the laundry drying pole doesn't fall up toward the sky instead of falling down to the ground. Could there be an invisible force pulling at everything in the world?" Lu Yang. Chapter 83, Lan Ting's Secret Mission. Lu Yang complained by the side, "Since this invisible force makes everything gravitate to it everywhere, why don't we call it gravity?" 1. Finding the voice familiar, Lan Ting raised her head to look at Lu Yang. "Oh, it's you. Come in and talk." Lu Yang was afraid that Lan Ting would reveal their true identities. Lan Ting was extremely beautiful, her charming demeanor as she stood at the door very eye-catching. It would be easy for someone with ill intentions to eavesdrop on their conversation by the entrance. As soon as Lan Ting stepped in, she saw the tiger henchman ghosts hard at work and realized that they were the ones left behind by the tiger demon. Upon noticing Lu Yang and Lan Ting walk in together, the two tiger henchman ghosts silently picked up a bowl of meat and skewers and continued skewering at a table in the corner. Seeing how practiced their movements were, Lan Ting thought that this was what they did when they were alive. Man Ji Yu was training in the backyard when he heard the commotion. He took a pause and came to the main hall. Meng Jingzhou had just finished a day of strolling around. He was shouting as soon as he entered, "Have you heard? Yanjiang Commandery has its own festival called the Spring Harvest Festival, which is in half a month's time. People go out for walks and scenic tours in spring, and at night, there will be a poetry gala with poetry recitations and music. It'll be quite lively. People from nearby commanderies will come too, while the locals in Yanjiang Commandery get 3 days off. I even found out that the brothels would raise their prices during those few days every year, and they would make a fortune. Should we take advantage of this opportunity to organize a big promotion, something like a bargain sale to celebrate the 2-month anniversary of our shop's opening?" Meng Jingzhou proved that he wasn't going out just to play but was also gathering intelligence, though this piece of information wasn't helpful to the three of them. Mangu's eyes lit up. He was about to say something when he noticed Lu Yang's emotionless gaze and silently kept his mouth closed. Meng Jingzhou was surprised to see Lan Ting. "I remember you. You're Lan Ting from the Moon Laurel Celestial Palace. In order to open a barbecue shop, oh wait, I mean, to infiltrate the Diabolic Creed, we have stayed here for over a month." But why is Lan Ting here? That's right, Lan Ting replied softly. Lan Ting found the three of them interesting. As she had stayed in Yanjiang Commandery for more than a month, she had naturally heard of One More Time barbecue shop's fame. However, she preferred the peace and quiet, so she hadn't come to visit the bustling shop. It was only because she happened to pass by today did she realize that the barbecue shop was run by someone she knew and disciples from an immortal sect at that. It looks like the three of them have really achieved something great in Yanjiang Commandery through their hard work. Could it be that the Tao-seeking sect's missions don't just include vanquishing demons and devils but also running a business to earn money? Considering the Tao-seeking sect's reputation, that's still plausible. Lan Ting had heard from her senior sisters that one could exchange for the prize, sect leader one-day experience, on the rewards boards with their contribution points in the Tao-seeking sect. This is something not available in the other four immortal sects. You're still here in Yanjiang Commandery, or you on a mission? If you need help, feel free to let us know. We have connections with constables and people in prison, Lu Yang kindly offered. As fellow members of the 5 great immortal sects, we should help one another. It wouldn't be a stretch to say that Lu Yang's trio was powerful to the extent they could almost cover the sky with one hand. On the surface, they were warm-hearted civilians who had helped Captain Wei catch criminals, and the constables frequently patronized them and gathered for meals. Under the table, they were promising diabolic spawns the Yanjiang branch leader valued. Meanwhile, their true identities were core disciples of the Tao-seeking sect. Who could beat them in terms of their background? Lan Ting fell silent. She had come here on a secret mission and shouldn't be interacting with outsiders. Otherwise, after helping Lu Yang to defeat the tiger demon, she wouldn't have perfunctorily asked for 2 tiger hides and simply left. More than a month's time had passed since then, yet there was still no progress, so she was getting anxious. These 3 before me are my chance. Maybe they'll be able to help me. She took 2 deep breaths and steadied her breathing before solemnly replying to the 3 of them. I am executing a secret mission, so what I'm about to tell you must be kept a secret. This concerns my safety. Don't be shocked when you hear it. The 3 of them straightened their backs upon seeing how serious Lan Ting was. I plan to infiltrate the Everlasting Creed as a spy. The 3 of them blinked, thinking they were hearing things. Lan Ting continued, this is reliable information the Moon Laurel Celestial Palace obtained through special means. Recently, the 4 great diabolic creeds are planning to organize a large-scale recruitment of followers. The Radiant Sun Creed has finished their recruitment, while the other 3 diabolic creeds are still recruiting. In Yanjiang Commandery, there is a branch of the Everlasting Creed called the Yanjiang Branch. The branch leader is mysterious, their identity and even their surname unknown. Among all the branches of the Everlasting Creed, the Yanjiang branch is ranked closer to the bottom, and the cultivation of its members are on the lower side, so it's the most suitable for a foundation establishment cultivator like me to infiltrate them. With proper planning, it's possible to even join the upper ranks. My senior sister's cultivation is too high and conspicuous. Moreover, they're very reputable in the outside world, so it would not be ideal for them to be the ones infiltrating. After some discussion, the mission fell to me. When Lan Ting mentioned that her senior sisters were very reputable, she was referring to how they were so beautiful that they had previously appeared in some forbidden books to satisfy the fantasies of some men. Lan Ting sighed, but I've stayed in Yanjiang Commandery for over a month and still haven't found the Yanjiang branch's location. I don't even know if the selection trials have ended. I just hope that I'm not too late. Lan Ting gazed at the 3 of them with hopeful eyes, especially toward Lu Yang who she found especially reliable, wishing that they could provide some help. The trio silently took out the waste tablets from the branch leader, the characters for Administrator, extremely prominent. Sorry, we're already members of the Everlasting Creed. Exclamation marks were popping out from above Lan Ting's head. Oh, don't be alarmed. What we meant was that we have successfully infiltrated the Everlasting Creed, Lu Yang added. Lan Ting relaxed. I thought that the 3 of them had betrayed us, but it turns out that they're just spies. Wait a minute, that doesn't sound right either. How did you infiltrate the Everlasting Creed? Lu Yang was placed in a tough spot. How should I say this? We simply participated in the selection trials and successfully passed. Meng Jingzhou said proudly, our performance in the selection trials was stellar, and the Everlasting Creed found us to be very suitable for joining the Diabolic Creed, so they chose us. Man Ji-yu didn't understand what Meng Jingzhou was proud of. Lu Yang tried to explain in simple terms that they had found Qin Yuanao's letter in the Tiger Demon's lair, traced it to Qin Yuanao, and learned about the Diabolic Creed's recruitment and the location of the Yanjiang branch. Regret wrecked Lan Ting. Had I known, I would have joined Lu Yang and the others. Not only have I wasted more than a month's time, I still haven't even found the entrance to the Yanjiang branch, while they have already become one of the higher-ups in the branch. Just like Qin Yuanao, you can recruit ordinary Creed members, right? Could you bring me in? Lu Yang shook his head. Ordinary followers don't have access to the Everlasting Creed's secrets. To do that, you must undergo the trials from the headquarters. To be honest, I don't think you can pass the trials. It's quite likely that you'll expose your identity. Lan Ting lowered her gaze in disappointment. Lu Yang continued, however, we can forge a false identity for you. We'll say that you're a distant relative of mine who has come looking for me to seek refuge, so you can stay with us. On the surface, you'll be working at the barbecue shop, and during our operations, you can also support us. This way, it can count as fulfilling part of your mission. Is that really possible? Lan Ting hadn't expected such great news. Man Ji-yu also hadn't expected that the barbecue shop had finally recruited a new worker. Lu Yang nodded. Of course. As a foundation establishment cultivator, you'll be of considerable help to us. The only thing is that you stand out too much, so you'll need to disguise yourself. By the way, do you know shapeshifting techniques? If you don't, I can teach you. Chapter 84, The Tofu Shop on Chinmen Street. After Lan Ting witnessed the whole process of Lu Yang performing animal form fist to transform into Man Ji-yu, she silently took out a yellow talisman. I think it's best that I draw a shape-shifting talisman myself. As expected of the immortal sect renowned for their fanciful imagination and spells to be disguising the shape-shifting technique as a fist technique. This is something only achievable with a profound comprehension of spells. Fellow Taoist Lu Yang must have reached the level where his comprehension of spells transcends spells and traces them to their origins. Lan Ting believed that Lu Yang's talent in spells was unrivaled among those at the same cultivation realm. Lu Yang recalled that Lan Ting had also asked for the tiger hide previously to create talismans. It looks like she has quite the talent for talismans. Lan Ting pointed at her own eyes. My eyes are imbued with a divine wonder that makes them sensitive to patterns, allowing me to discern the core essence of runes and the focal point of arrays, so I'm naturally adept at crafting talismans and drawing arrays. However, I have limited capacity, so I have directed most of my energy to crafting talismans. I only have a very rudimentary understanding of arrays. Despite Lan Ting's humility, the talent she possessed was actually an exceptional one that many talisman and array masters were envious of. Her talent was fated to take her far in the field of talismans and arrays. Soon, Lan Ting finished drawing a shape-shifting talisman and pasted it on herself. It was fascinating watching her stunning features change into ordinary ones right before their eyes. Just like that, the barbecue shop welcomed its new staff. After Lan Ting had joined the barbecue shop for 2 days, the trio's workload had become much lighter, although the shop was still busy as usual. Lu Yang noticed that Man Ji-yu appeared to be a little unhappy and used his spiritual consciousness to ask him while serving the customers, did something happen? You don't seem very happy. Man Ji-yu nodded. I don't know if you have noticed, Brother Lu, but the number of customers has decreased recently. I calculated our revenue for the past few days and confirmed that it's indeed true. Lu Yang was taken aback as he hadn't paid attention to this detail. Because of Lan Ting. But shouldn't business be better with the addition of a female staff? No, the numbers have already been reducing before Lan Ting joined. I still haven't figured out the problem. Man Ji-yu had been ruminating about this problem. Lu Yang didn't make much of it. He wished that there would be less business for the barbecue shop. You can think about it first. I'll go deliver the food. A month ago, at Meng Jingzhou's suggestion, the barbecue shop had introduced a delivery service. A box would be placed at the entrance in the day, and those who wanted food delivery would deposit a piece of paper written with their desired barbecue skewers, delivery time, and address. At night, one of the three would be responsible for handling the deliveries. It was Lu Yang's turn today. Lu Yang hadn't gone out for the past few nights, and he noticed that there were considerably fewer pedestrians on the streets. Perhaps this is the reason for the barbecue shop's lower customer traffic. Let me see where I should deliver this to, the tofu shop on Chinmen Street. Wen Xiangyu had long heard about the popular barbecue shop that opened recently. She was interested in giving it a try, wondering if it was really as delicious as in the rumors. However, ever since her husband passed away and she took over his tofu shop, she had hardly gone out at night. She was not trying to brag, but with her beautiful appearance, she didn't know how many people hungered after her, so going out alone would be very dangerous. Subsequently, she heard that the barbecue shop offered a food delivery service, so she wrote what she wanted to eat on a piece of paper and dropped it in the box outside the shop. She had been very sleepy the past few days, and it was even worse today. Before the skewers could arrive, she had already succumbed to her sleepiness and lain on the bed. The barbecue shop staff should probably be able to wake me up. Lu Ji was a thief who had been giving the constables a headache recently. He would sneak into people's homes at night and steal their valuables while they were asleep, then he would swiftly depart, leaving behind negligible traces. When the constables questioned the neighbors, the answers were always something along the lines of them being too deep asleep to notice anything outside. This time, Lu Ji had set his sights on the tofu shop on Chinmen Street. The lady boss was a well-known pretty widow, and her tofu's reputation reached far and wide. The money she earned the past few years caused the neighboring proprietors' eyes to go red with envy. Lu Ji was agile like a monkey as he stealthily climbed to a rooftop. Twisting his body, he opened the window to the second floor. She should be asleep by now. He was extremely confident as he had happened to come across a yellow talisman that was capable of inducing deep slumber. He had pasted it outside the house, and everyone within 50 meters would sleep like a log. This trick of his had never failed him. Holding his breath and slinking over cautiously, Lu Ji saw the beauty lying in bed, and a sly smirk of triumph morphed onto his face. He then turned around to rummage through the cupboards for valuables. Based on my experience, women like to keep things here. Nothing. Lu Ji frowned and turned his gaze to where the tofu shop's lady boss was. Since there's nothing here, the stuff should be under the bed. He gingerly crouched down and peered under the bed. That was when his heart almost stopped beating. There's actually a human face underneath the bed. Ah, ghost. Zheng Shuhei was a rapist who had been giving the constables a headache recently. He often hid under the beds of single women beforehand, waiting for them to fall asleep before emerging to defile them. However, there were occasions where he would bump into women in the midst of an affair. In those cases, he could only force himself to wait patiently under the bed. This time, he had set his sights on the tofu shop on Chinmen Street. The lady boss was a well-known pretty widow, and it was unclear how many souls she had captivated. As usual, Zheng Shuhei had hid under the bed in advance, waiting for nightfall to have his way with the lady boss. I'm so sleepy. Zheng Shuhei had never felt so sleepy. In the past, the more he waited, the more excited he would become. However, for some reason, sleepiness kept coming over him today. His eyelids were fighting with each other. After trying to open his eyes a few times, he ultimately succumbed to his sleepiness. A shrill scream woke him up. He seems to be shouting, "Ghost," or something. Zheng Shuhei suddenly opened his eyes and saw Lu Ji staring at him in fright from under the bed. Zheng Shuhei immediately clamped his hand over Lu Ji's mouth and darted out from underneath the bed. His other hand took out a dagger from behind his waist and pressed it against Lu Ji's neck. Zheng Shuhei then saw Wen Xiangyu curled up in bed, trembling in fear. She had clearly also been woken up by Lu Ji shrieking. "You get up too. What an unlucky day it is today." Zheng Shuhei cursed out loud. He found some ropes and tied Lu Ji up, planning to kill both Lu Ji and Wen Xiangyu after he finished getting his way with the latter. Just then, a knocking sound came from downstairs. "Is anyone there? I'm here to deliver the food." Zheng Shuhei clicked his tongue. "My luck today is really terrible." After binding Lu Ji up, he coerced Wen Xiangyu to go downstairs with him. Drawing his knife to threaten Wen Xiangyu, Zheng Shuhei growled in a low voice, "Tell the person outside to leave." Everyone in Yanjiang Commandery knew that the pretty widow lived alone. If he asked the person outside to leave, the other party would hear a male voice and get suspicious. Just leave it outside the door. I'll go out to get it in a bit, Wen Xiangyu said in a soft voice. That won't do, you haven't paid yet, the person at the door replied. Zheng Shuhei's face became warped in malice. Since you're courting death, you can't blame anyone. Chapter 85, Lifespan Reversal Talisman. Open the door for him. Zheng Shuhei gripped the dagger tightly as he pressed it against Wen Xiangyu's back. Wen Xiangyu had no choice but to open the door. Upon opening the door, it revealed a delicate-looking person. It was none other than Lu Yang. Wen Xiangyu tried her best to signal to Lu Yang with her eyes, urging him to run away immediately, but Lu Yang didn't seem to notice. A professional false smile appeared on his visage. Your barbecue skewers. Zheng Shuhei also flashed a professional false smile. It's so obvious that this person is foolishly honest. It'll be too easy to trick him into coming in. Young lad, why don't you come in and have a seat? I'll get the money for you. Believing that it was real, Lu Yang walked inside. He saw that the house was pitch black and smiled. Even the lamps are not lit. You sleep so early. Watching Lu Yang come in foolishly, panic consumed Wen Xiangyu's heart. She steeled herself, planning to push Lu Yang out. But how could Zheng Shuhei not see through her intentions? It's too late. Zheng Shuhei sneered and tossed Wen Xiangyu behind him, thrusting the dagger toward Lu Yang in the darkness. Having spent long durations in darkness, Zheng Shuhei's eyes were already accustomed to it. Since this lad walked in from the streets, he'll definitely need some time to adjust to the darkness. This is my chance. It looks like tonight is destined to be a night of bloodshed. Lu Yang sent Zheng Shuhei flying 4 to 5 meters away with a single kick. There's no point in talking about science with a cultivator. Zheng Shuhei hadn't expected the kick from Lu Yang to be so powerful and heavy, like a boulder crushing his chest. He began to see stars, and he had several broken ribs, causing him to vomit out a copious amount of blood. He realized that he had encountered a tough one. If I want to live, I must take a hostage. Forcefully using his willpower to suppress the pain in his chest, Zheng Shuhei flipped over to grab Wen Xiangyu's wrist. If you dare to move, I'll kill her. He threatened fiercely. The person in Zheng Shuhei's arm sneered. Who did you say you wanted to kill? Zheng Shuhei lowered his head. To his horror, the person he had caught was not Wen Xiangyu but Lu Yang. Lu Yang used one hand to push against Zheng Shuhei's chin, while his other hand snatched the dagger and disabled all 4 of Zheng Shuhei's limbs effortlessly. Geez, what luck I have. I can come across so many problems when I'm just delivering food. Lu Yang breathed out. He lit a candle, filling the room with a dim glow. Wen Xiangyu hadn't expected the tables to turn so quickly. The waiter from the barbecue shop was like a god descending from heaven, subduing the ruthless villain in the blink of an eye. Are you all right? Lu Yang helped the stupefied Wen Xiangyu up from the floor. I'm fine. That's good to hear. You can pass me the money for the barbecue skewers then, Lu Yang said politely. Oh. Only then did Wen Xiangyu remember that Lu Yang had just come to deliver the food and saved her in passing. Even after giving Lu Yang the money, Wen Xiangyu still hadn't recovered from the trauma, so she tried to say something to ease the fear lingering in her heart. You're a cultivator. That's right. Cultivators also open shops. Gotta make a living somehow. Zheng Shuhei was lying on the ground and howling in pain, regret flooding him. What luck I have. I just have to bump into a cultivator when I go out. Are cultivators already at the point where they have to deliver food to make ends meet? Noticing that Wen Xiangyu was still dazed from having narrowly escaped death, Lu Yang chuckled and shook his head. Let me accompany you to report this case to the authorities. Thank you. Wen Xiangyu remembered the thief upstairs. Oh right, there's another person upstairs, probably his accomplice. When Wen Xiangyu first woke up, she saw Zheng Shuhei and Lu Ji together, so she assumed that they were together but simply had a falling out because of her beauty. When Lu Yang went upstairs and saw the tightly bound Lu Ji, he also assumed that Lu Ji was Zheng Shuhei's accomplice. A gang-related crime, huh? Lu Ji cried out in protest, don't say that. I'm not with him. He's a kidnapper, while I'm just a thief. The punishments for both are completely different. Lu Yang was amused. You know the law quite well. Those in our line of work always check the law before committing a crime to check how many years we'll be sentenced to, Lu Ji explained in a manner that showed how adroit he was. Let's go to the yamen then. We'll see how many years you get sentenced to. As soon as Lu Ji heard the word, yamen, he grew so terrified that he implored, no, no, please don't, brother. We can discuss it peacefully. We are all just trying to get by in the Jianghu, so why push things so far? How about this? Why don't I give you something good and you'll let me off the hook? Lu Yang sized up Lu Ji and determined that he was just a mortal. What good thing? A yellow paper that can make people sleep. With this paper, you can make anyone fall asleep, and you can do whatever you want with her. Associating it with the strange occurrences recently, Lu Yang furrowed his brow as he realized that things weren't as they seemed. He asked in a cold voice, where's the thing? Lu Ji thought to himself, I'm not silly. How could I answer just because you asked? Promise to let me go first. Lu Yang solemnly vowed, I, Kai Zulong, swear to the heavens that if I don't let you go, may Kai Zulong be struck by 5 bolts of lightning. Lu Ji was overjoyed. The yellow paper is on the corner of the outer wall on the first floor. Evidently, Lu Ji was also not very clever. Lu Yang jumped down from the second floor and circled around the first floor, discovering a piece of yellow paper. There was an indecipherable symbol drawn on it, which made it look like some kind of talisman. He stowed away the talisman and returned to the second floor. Where did you get this thing from? Right under the big stone bridge. I once fled by boat and happened to see a yellow paper pasted to the bottom of the big stone bridge when I looked up. Lu Yang nodded. He went downstairs to connect Zheng Shuhei's legs and sent the 2 of them to the yamen with Wen Xiangyu following closely behind. Hey, you went back on your word. Lu Ji hollered. Lu Yang snorted. The one getting struck by lightning is Kai Zulong. What does that have to do with me, Lu Yang? Captain Wei happened to be on duty tonight. When he saw Lu Yang escorting 2 criminals to the yamen, the feeling of, it's you again, sprouted in his heart. After listening to the situation regarding the 2 criminals, he was no longer in a mood to joke. Zheng Shuhei is wanted for murder and is a major criminal. Lu Yang has accomplished a meritorious achievement. Lu Yang passed the yellow paper to Captain Wei. This is the yellow paper Lu Ji mentioned. He had already noted down the symbol on the yellow paper. Captain Wei took the yellow paper and also realized the gravity of the issue. I've been hearing subordinates mention that they were sleepy in the morning. Since I didn't feel anything, I didn't think it was anything significant. But it now looks like someone is purposely causing trouble. We don't even know how many yellow papers there are in Yanjiang Commandery. However, Captain Wei also didn't know what the symbol on the yellow paper represented. I'll ask the chief constable when he gets to work in the morning. Thank you, I'll send you another silk banner tomorrow. After recording Lu Yang's and Wen Xiangyu's statements, Captain Wei waved goodbye. Before leaving, Lu Yang made a trip to the prison and found Kai Zulong. I have a brother called Zheng Shuhei who will be coming in for a while. Please look after him. Kai Zulong sneered. To think that you also need to beg me for help. Look after him. I have already mastered my stone-spitting divine arts. Watch how I'll sort him out. After sending Wen Xiangyu back to the tofu shop, Lu Yang firmly refused the tofu she offered. Having gone through all that, the barbecue shop had already closed by the time Lu Yang returned. The 2 tiger henchmen ghosts were washing the dishes. Lu Yang passed the drawings of the symbol from the yellow paper to Lan Ting. Take a look at this sigil. Can its effects cause people to fall asleep? After examining it, shock spread across her visage. Where did you find this? This is a lifespan reversal talisman. It will absorb people's lifespans. On the surface, symptoms are a lack of energy and excessive sleepiness. This type of sigil only affects mortals, whereas cultivators are completely unaffected. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 86, Spy Within the Authorities. There are currently numerous people showing symptoms of excessive sleepiness. Could the lifespan reversal talisman already be absorbing the lifespans of ordinary people? Lan Ting shook her head. It's not like that. Lifespan is a root of life and is not so easily affected. From your description, the people have only started exhibiting sleepiness recently. This is just the prelude. It'll take at least half a month before it begins to truly absorb lifespans. The actual process of absorbing lifespans is extremely slow and hard to detect. But there's also a method to forcefully activate it. What method? Lu Yang pressed further. Lan Ting replied solemnly, using lifespan reversal talismans is a node to set up a lifespan reversal array with human blood as a catalyst. This can activate the array without having to wait for half a month and use the lifespans of mortals to enhance one's cultivation. In reality, the lifespan reversal talisman and lifespan reversal array were not commonly accessible knowledge, with only mentions of it in a few books. Furthermore, as the lifespan reversal talisman was truly wicked, books with their records became classified as forbidden. Even those erudite array masters might have only heard of the lifespan reversal talisman but not know its pattern. Lan Ting was qualified to access these forbidden books only because she hailed from the Moon Laurel Celestial Palace. Despite claiming that her knowledge of arrays was superficial, what she just displayed was far beyond what one could consider as superficial. Lan Ting continued, however, the person who wrote the lifespan reversal talisman probably doesn't know how to set up the lifespan reversal array. Before the array is activated, it should be more secretive with no warning signs of sleepiness. However, that doesn't rule out the possibility that the culprit is still in the middle of setting up the array. While listening by the side, Meng Jingzhou and Man Jiyu also realized the gravity of the situation. If everyone in Yanjiang Commandery is experiencing sleepiness, that implies that the lifespan reversal talismans are hidden in various locations across Yanjiang Commandery. The mastermind behind the scenes is plotting something big. After the lifespan reversal array is activated, to what extent can it elevate the caster's cultivation? Lan Ting shook her head. It's hard to say. This depends on how much lifespan the array absorbs. I can't tell at the moment. Come on, let's go to the big stone bridge to take a look. Maybe there are more there. Lu Yang called the three of them to follow him. To the west of Yanjiang Commandery was a large river called the Hidden Dragon River. The section passing through Yanjiang Commandery flowed slower, making it a popular scenic spot. The name, Yanjiang, which meant, delayed river, was thus derived. The big stone bridge, the unsuccessful thief, Lu Ji, had mentioned was located right here. It was currently in the middle of the night. There was not a single soul at the Hidden Dragon River. The four of them searched the whole big stone bridge thoroughly for lifespan reversal talismans but to no avail. As expected, the other party isn't foolish. They wouldn't place two lifespan reversal talismans at the same place. The next morning, Captain Wei went to look for the chief constable, Fang Qingyan. Little Wei, what brings you here? Shifu, have you noticed that the civilians of Yanjiang Commandery have been going to bed early and having trouble waking up in the morning? Fang Qingyan nodded. That's indeed the case. I think a possible reason is the increased cost of living amidst stagnant income in Yanjiang Commandery. Stressed about their livelihood, the people have to work hard in the day to earn money. Captain Wei rubbed his forehead in frustration, cautiously finding the appropriate words. Shifu, I know that you're eager for a promotion and have been reading socio-economic books recently to build a solid foundation. But have you considered that you might not be suited for development work? Don't beat about the bush, be it something you have to say or fart you have to release. It's like this. Last night, a zealous civilian caught a thief red-handed. According to the thief's confession, he had stumbled across a talisman that made people fall asleep, and it can make anyone sleepy within a radius of 50 meters. Captain Wei took out the talisman from a box with a paper strip seal pasted outside. The paper strip seal had a suppressing effect of a seal. He realized that despite the sleep-inducing talisman not affecting him, it worked extremely well on ordinary people. His fellow companions on the night shift had all fallen asleep. Therefore, he could only lock the talisman in a box. Do you recognize this thing? Fang Qingyan examined it for a moment, then shook his head, expressing that he also didn't recognize it. Commandery Governor Li is very knowledgeable. Perhaps he'll know. When the two of them found Commandery Governor Li, the latter was currently buried in his work affairs. The two were very impressed by Commandery Governor Li. He was a golden core cultivator who had been in Yanjiang Commandery for 20 years, and throughout the years, Yanjiang Commandery had not changed in the slightest bit. However, every time a superior arrived in Yanjiang Commandery for inspection or Commandery Governor Li went to deliver a report to the higher-ups, the best side of Yanjiang Commandery would always be presented, as if the commandery had undergone some monumental change in these 20 years. Commandery Governor Li, I have something to report. Fang Qingyan called out. Commandery Governor Li placed his writing brush down and gestured for him to take a seat. Captain Wei truthfully reported what had transpired last night and took out the talisman for Commandery Governor Li to have a look. Commandery Governor Li narrowed his eyes, slightly surprised. He seemed to have thought of something and fell into contemplation for a few minutes before saying, "If my memory serves me right, this is a lifespan reversal talisman. 30 years ago, I was in charge of cracking down on the diabolic path in Poyang Commandery. During my exchanges with colleagues from other commanderies, someone had mentioned this talisman and called it the lifespan reversal talisman. It is said to be able to absorb people's lifespans and convert them into one's cultivation. This is undoubtedly a method of the diabolic path." He continued in a solemn tone, "With the spring harvest festival around the corner, many people from other commanderies will come pouring in, and that includes both ordinary people and cultivators. The Spring Harvest Festival is the icon of Yanjiang Commandery. Nothing is allowed to go wrong. You must apprehend these diabolic culprits who posted these talismans before the Spring Harvest Festival begins. These diabolic followers are lawless and have no regard for the imperial court. Chief Constable Fang, you have to pay special attention to this matter. If the lifespan reversal talisman is allowed to fully take form, the repercussions will be dire." He then suddenly changed his tone. "Of course, if you manage to capture the main culprit, that will be a great meritorious achievement, and I will report that to the higher-ups. If possible, you should aim for a breakthrough in your cultivation. That way, your promotion will be set in stone." "Understood. There's nothing else from me. You may leave. I have another meeting later." The next day, Lu Yang and the rest wanted to follow up on the clues to search for the lifespan reversal talismans, locations. Before they could depart, however, Branch Leader Chu sent someone to summon Lu Yang over. Lu Yang didn't understand why Branch Leader Chu had only called for him. He silently put on his guard, finding the matter to be a little strange. Branch Leader Chu was sitting on the jade chair, his hands supporting his head. His hoarse voice came from behind his mask. "I heard that you caught a thief last night and even found a yellow talisman capable of making people fall asleep." Lu Yang replied respectfully, "Yes, I suspect that the yellow talisman is one of our methods from the diabolic path, so I wanted to track down the person who drew the talisman, kill them, and master the art of drawing such talismans." Branch Leader Chu waved his hand. "Maintaining connections with the authorities on the surface is important, but it's different this time around. The authorities will be taking this matter seriously and investing their resources in pursuing the investigation. Even a golden core cultivator will be involved. The truth will be uncovered soon. Don't meddle in this further, lest you expose your identity and get yourself implicated. It's just a talisman that makes people fall asleep. It's not worth the risk." Lu Yang's heart skipped a beat. It's only morning, yet Branch Leader Chu has already learned about last night's events. He even knows that a golden core cultivator will be involved. I didn't even know that. That can only mean one thing: the Yanjiang branch has planted a spy within the authorities. Chapter 87, Learning the Invisibility Talisman. When the trio first entered Yanjiang Commandery, Man Ji-yu had suggested tipping off the local authorities about the Yanjiang branch so that they could search for Qin Yuanao together. However, Lu Yang and Meng Jingzhou had rejected his idea with the reason that the authorities couldn't be trusted. And now it seemed like both of them had made the right call in taking precautions. The Yanjiang branch had planted a spy within the authorities, and it was someone in a high position at that. Branch Leader Chu spoke unhurriedly. "Lu Yang, among the upper ranks of the Yanjiang branch, I have the highest hopes for you. After the Spring Harvest Festival, the higher-ups will dispatch someone to evaluate the Yanjiang branch. The inspection this time around will be different. We now have you, Meng Jingzhou, and Man Ji-yu, who are 3 diabolic spawns. The higher-ups' assessment of me will improve significantly. There's an extremely high chance of me getting promoted. If that happens, the position of branch leader will become vacant. The usual practice is that the new branch leader will be chosen from the upper ranks of the same branch. Although you lack experience, considering the Creed leader's appraisal of you, it is possible for the higher-ups to appoint you as the new branch leader. Your competitors are still locked up in prison and won't be released for another 3 days. On account of their foolish behavior, the higher-ups won't look upon them fondly. The Spring Harvest Festival is a major festival among the nearby commanderies and wields considerable influence. If you cause some commotion during such a festival, the higher-ups will hold you in even higher regard, Branch Leader Chu subtly hinted to Lu Yang. Lu Yang relayed Branch Leader Chu's words to the rest. Meng Jingzhou and Man Jiyu were glad that they had decided to start rumors about Qin Yuanao instead of seeking help from the authorities. Otherwise, we wouldn't have such a thriving barbecue business now. Lu Yang somehow sensed that their focus was not on the right thing. We just don't know who Branch Leader Chu's spy is. The four of them found themselves in a bind. They didn't know who was qualified to be privy to the matters of the Yellow Talisman within the authorities. There's nothing to fear. You'll know who the spy is once you become the branch leader. With how much Branch Leader Chu values you, he'll definitely tell you before he leaves. Meng Jingzhou laughed out loud. I didn't expect Lu Yang to get promoted so quickly. If Lu Yang gets promoted, Man Jiyu and I have free rein to stir up whatever trouble we want in Yanjiang Commandery. That's the beauty of having someone backing you up. While the four were in the middle of their fervent discussion, Captain Wei knocked on the door. Shop owner Lu, I've brought you another silk banner. Lu Yang opened the door, and the cordial Captain Wei came in. Oh, it's quite the lively atmosphere, everyone's here, Captain Wei casually commented. We were discussing yesterday's case. Captain Wei warned sternly, Shop owner Lu, you must keep yesterday's case a secret. Don't let anyone else know. I am aware that all of you are not ordinary people but cultivators who are here to experience life, and you will even courageously stand up for justice at times. But it's not the same this time. Ruthless diabolic cultivators are involved. One wrong move and it could cost you your life. You must not seek out the owner of the talisman. Lu Yang couldn't help but chuckle. The diabolic path is warning me not to meddle in this matter, and now the righteous path is also warning me to do the same. Don't laugh. This is an extremely serious matter. Captain Wei assumed that Lu Yang didn't take this matter to heart. Lu Yang straightened his face and guaranteed that he wouldn't intervene in this affair. Only then did Captain Wei feel reassured to leave. Drink some tea before you go. Captain Wei waved his hand. I'll have to decline. Our leader is pressing me. I still have to gather my men to search for the other talismans. After seeing Captain Wei off, the four of them were worried that the Yamen lacked manpower and might not be able to catch the culprit working in the shadows. If this goes wrong, countless people will have their lifespans secretly robbed. Lu Yang lowered his head pensively. We have already learned how to conceal our breaths, but relying on just that wouldn't necessarily be safe. He raised his head to look at Lan Ting, who was learning how to skewer from the tiger henchman ghosts. An idea sparked in his mind. Taoist friend Lan Ting, I have a request. Lan Ting smiled. All of us are fellow immortal sect disciples who exterminate evil together. Besides, I'm your subordinate now. Don't stand on ceremony with me. Just call me Lan Ting. Lu Yang followed without hesitation. Lan Ting, can you teach us the invisibility talisman? Lan Ting immediately deduced what Lu Yang was getting at. Do you intend to use the invisibility talisman to conceal yourselves and secretly help Captain Wei? Lu Yang nodded. Of course, that's not a problem. The invisibility talisman doesn't require any complicated runes. Anyone who isn't severely lacking in talent will be able to pick it up in half a day. Meng Jingzhou and Man Jiyu were overjoyed to hear that they could learn something new again, especially something that was not taught by Lu Yang. Have the three of you learned the art of talismans before? The three shook their heads. Lan Ting didn't show any signs of surprise. I'll start from the beginning then. Lan Ting was also very excited. It was her first time teaching others. Back in the Moon Laurel Celestial Palace, it has always been my senior sisters teaching me, and now it's finally my turn to be a teacher. The original essence of talismans is to materialize spells with symbols on paper. Since the three of you are from the Tao-seeking sect and talented in spells, it will be very easy for you to learn. The talisman gall is the soul of a talisman. Whether a talisman can manifest power to its potential largely depends on whether there is a talisman gall standing guard in the center. The most commonly used symbol in talismans is the cloud sigil. It is a design that imitates the ever-changing shapes of clouds in the sky and is drawn from nature. As for the invisibility talisman, it uses the gang Character for Gale is the talisman Gal and the ethereal cloud sigil is its pattern. Lan Ting dipped her fingertip in water. With a few swift strokes, she traced an invisibility talisman on the table. Then she used her hand to absorb the invisibility talisman from the table to her palm and slapped it to herself. Following which, the three of them saw Lan Ting vanish right before their very eyes. A few moments later, Lan Ting appeared again with a faint smile. This is the most basic invisibility talisman. It can only conceal the body from sight. You should still be able to detect my presence and location through details like my breathing and heartbeat. The three nodded. Even if that's the case, it's already pretty impressive. Give it a try. The source of this content is freeweb. Oval. C.M. After half a day of training, the three gained a preliminary understanding of talismans. They pulled out their calligraphy tool set. However, they were still unable to use water as a medium to draw talismans like Lan Ting. As Meng Jingzhou had practiced calligraphy for years, his handwriting was excellent, and his grip on the brush was steady. As spirit energy flowed at the tip of the brush, an invisibility talisman was soon drawn. It looked 80% similar to Lan Ting's. After a few more attempts, it became almost identical to Lan Ting's version. Meng Jingzhou gleefully pasted it on himself. As expected, he disappeared. Man Ji-yu was slightly less talented in this aspect. His control over spirit energy was not adequately precise. It took him dozens of attempts to succeed once. However, with every attempt, his success rate grew. Lan Ting inwardly exclaimed in admiration, as one would expect from disciples of the Tao-seeking sect. They're naturally talented in talismans. What about Lu Yang? Lan Ting turned to look in Lu Yang's direction. Lu Yang also finished drawing an invisibility talisman very quickly, and he even succeeded on his first try, demonstrating truly terrifying talent. He stuck the invisibility talisman on himself, and he completely disappeared. However, only his body vanished, his clothes remained visible. It was just like a haunted ghost scene. What the ghost? In a strange turn of events, even clothes could speak. Lu Yang was thinking that since he was currently invisible, he might as well remove his clothes. To his despair, he realized that the invisibility talisman was also still visible. Invisibility my ass. He almost wanted to rip off the talisman in frustration. Thankfully, his sense of reason was still working to stop him from doing so. Chapter 88. Lan Ting's Growth. Lan Ting spiraled into self-doubt regarding her teaching abilities. She had heard that Lu Yang ranked first among the new joiners of the Tao-seeking sect, which implied that his talent in spells must be exceptional. The animal form fist I witnessed previously was a testament to his superb talent in spells that is capable of creating miracles. But why is it that as soon as I get into the picture, it turns into this? Did I teach him wrongly? That shouldn't be the case. This is how my senior sisters have taught me. I also taught Meng Jingzhou and Man Ji-yu the same way. There was no problem at all. Could it be that I've underestimated Lu Yang's talent in spells? Maybe an extraordinary genius like him requires extraordinary teaching methods. In the process of doubting herself, she even felt guilty. On the other hand, Lu Yang was in his own world as he studied his own talisman, completely oblivious to all the self-doubt that wrecked a talisman genius heart because of him. Say, is there a talisman that can make other talismans invisible? That way, my invisibility talisman can become invisible. Meng Jingzhou mused over it for quite a while before replying, I can't imagine why someone would invent this kind of talisman. Lu Yang's head drooped, deflated. He put his clothes back on and continued practicing drawing the invisibility talisman. However, the result was the same as before. His body turned invisible as it should, but his clothes weren't cooperative. In contrast, Mangu's drawing made progress with every attempt, giving Lan Ting a sense of accomplishment. Meng Jingzhou gloated, haha, just give up. You will never draw a proper invisibility talisman. Lu Yang was irked. Pinching the invisibility talisman with his 2 fingers, he pasted it on Meng Jingzhou's forehead. Ha! Demon, have a taste of my talisman. Meng Jingzhou vanished, but his clothes remained. Not accepting defeat, Meng Jingzhou also fished out his invisibility talisman and slapped it on Lu Yang's forehead. Taoist, you're not the only one who can draw talismans. Both Lu Yang and his clothes vanished. The two kept up with their flurry of attacks with talismans, though they lacked any form of offensive power. Sandwiched between the two of them, Man Ji-yu simply concentrated on drawing his talisman. I'm done. Man Ji-yu was pleased as he took out a stash of successfully drawn invisibility talismans. Through constant practice, his success rate was already approaching 100%. And thus, Meng Jingzhou and Man Ji-yu graduated. And so did Lu Yang. By taking Lan Ting's invisibility talisman. By the way, Lan Ting, do you know how the lifespan reversal array is set up? Lu Yang asked. He wondered if the mastermind was truly using lifespan reversal talismans to set up the lifespan reversal array but was simply not done with it yet. If that's really the case, after finding a dozen lifespan reversal talismans or so, it should be very easy to reference their positions to deduce the locations of the other talismans. Lan Ting nodded. She used her spirit energy to draw an extremely intricate array with over 1,000 nodes in the air. The scale of the lifespan reversal array is massive with numerous nodes. If there are only a few culprits behind the scenes, considering the time it takes to place the talismans in secret locations, they wouldn't be able to complete setting everything up in a short span of time. Got it. In that case, please watch the shop for us. The three of us will go out and see if there is anything we can help with, Lu Yang said. Ah, me. Watch the shop. Lan Ting was a little uneasy. In the Moon Laurel Celestial Palace, I've always listened to my senior sister's instructions without having much of an opinion. Now that she suddenly had to look after such a huge shop by herself, she couldn't help but lack the confidence. No worries, nothing will happen. If something does come up, just make the decision yourself. Lu Yang didn't see anything wrong with the arrangement and immediately left. After the trio departed, Lan Ting couldn't sit still as realization sank in that she had to temporarily manage a large store by herself. I'll first set up a spirit energy gathering array then, Lan Ting muttered to herself as she tried to keep herself occupied. The spirit energy gathering array was a foundational array for cultivators. She realized that there wasn't one in the barbecue shop and was puzzled how the three of them had been cultivating without it. Since everyone stays on the second floor, I'll set it up there. Since the spirit energy gathering array was a fundamental array, Lan Ting could set it up with ease. She took out spirit stones from her jade tablet and arranged them exactly according to what she had learned in class. I'll set up a mind concentration array too so that one can quickly enter a suitable state for cultivation. And a soundproofing array too, things will be quieter that way. Lan Ting was meticulous in her work. Considering that the spirit energy gathering array might be too effective and attract the attention of other cultivators, Lan Ting set up another array that would block out the fluctuations in spirit energy. It should be foolproof now. Lan Ting was satisfied with her attention to detail. Hello, is anyone here? A voice came from downstairs, startling Lan Ting. It sounded like it belonged to a woman. Lan Ting went downstairs and saw a fair-skinned woman standing at the entrance and hesitating whether she should step in. Hello, may I ask who you are? I'm Wen Xiangyu. I run the tofu shop on Chinmen Street. May I know if shop owner Lu is around? Wen Xiangyu's voice was so tender that it sent a tingling sensation through whoever listened to it. He went out. Is anything the matter? Lan Ting recalled that Lu Yang had mentioned her briefly when recounting how he had discovered the lifespan reversal talisman. Ah, it's like this, isn't the spring harvest festival just around the corner? I was thinking of working on a collab event together with your barbecue shop. Lan Ting invited Wen Xiangyu in and poured some tea. What kind of event? I'm not trying to brag, but my tofu shop has many customers, and the number will only increase during the spring harvest festival. Hence, I was thinking that we could organize a joint promotion where those who buy at my tofu shop can enjoy a 10% discount when they dine at your barbecue shop and vice versa. We can also add in elements like a spin-to-win wheel and masks. Masks. Wen Xiangyu took out a few masks. They were square and looked soft and white like blocks of tofu. These are masks created based on my tofu shop's mascot. They have a high sales volume. Lan Ting contemplated for a bit and felt that Wen Xiangyu's idea was a good one. Moreover, the barbecue shop could only stand to benefit. Recalling how Lu Yang had completely placed the barbecue shop in her hands during this period of time, she agreed to Wen Xiangyu's proposal. Wen Xiangyu was elated to have Lan Ting accept her suggestion. With that, the two women began discussing from the minute details of the event to the rewards for the Wheel of Fortune then to the concept of gravity. There's an invisible force pulling on everything in this world. Lu Yang also agrees with my viewpoint, and he called this force, gravity. However, Lu Yang thinks that this kind of invisible force is a natural phenomenon, while I think that someone has set up a colossal array that is pulling at us. Oh right, you're not familiar with arrays. Let me tell you about them. Arrays are very interesting. This book, The True Insight to Arrays, is able to take a complicated subject and unpack it in a digestible manner. When Wen Xiangyu came, her heart was filled with gratitude toward Lu Yang, and when she left, her head was filled with concepts of arrays. After seeing Wen Xiangyu off, Lan Ting noticed the tiger henchman ghost skewering in a corner, and something sparked in her mind. Since Lu Yang's ideas are so bold and imaginative, if I want to teach him well, should I learn how to think like him? For example, maybe I can use the levitation array and fire gathering array as the basis for designing an automatic barbecue array. That sounds like a pretty good idea. Chapter 89. It is not recommended for diabolic cultivators to dine at the barbecue shop. Meanwhile, Lu Yang was still not aware that Lan Ting had successfully clinched a big business deal. He was currently using the invisibility talisman and concealment technique to tail the bailiffs and search for the lifespan reversal talismans. The trio split up to cover as much ground as possible and locate the lifespan reversal talismans. They could tell that the authorities took this matter very seriously from how the authorities had mobilized almost all their manpower, as if they were ready to turn Yanjiang Commandery inside out. The authorities started off by summarizing data on the areas where civilians easily became fatigued or sleepy, then proceeded with their search according to these demarcated zones. Fang Qingyan even manifested 2 clones of himself. His real self and 2 clones spread their spiritual consciousness, leading the troops to search for the talismans. As Fang Qingyan's cultivation was too high, the trio didn't dare to follow him directly. Soon after, a bailiff found a lifespan reversal talisman. While hiding in the shadows, Lu Yang silently noted down the location. When evening came around, Lu Yang reconvened with the other 2 and took out a map of Yanjiang Commandery with the locations of the lifespan reversal talisman marked out. One at the Big Stone Bridge, one in the rogue shop on Chinmen Street, one in the pawn shop. These are the locations of the 6 lifespan reversal talismans we have found. These inconsequential pieces of information alone can't let us ascertain if they're indeed arranged according to the lifespan reversal array. Let's take a look again tomorrow. Upon returning to the barbecue shop, the 3 saw Lan Ting assiduously improving the automatic barbecue array while wearing a tofu mask. The barbecue skewers hovered over the table as it became roasted under the high temperatures. The 2 tiger henchmen ghosts knelt on the ground, tears and snot streaming down as they thanked Lan Ting for her great favor in rescuing them from their endless hell of barbecuing. Question marks appeared above Lu Yang's head. We were gone for just an afternoon. What exactly happened? Where did you get this mask from? Lan Ting swelled with pride. Oh, it's from the tofu shop lady boss who you saved last night. She even said that she wants to organize a collab event during the period of the Spring Harvest Festival. This is the event plan we drafted after discussion. When I was working yesterday, I realized that efficiency is too low with only 2 tiger henchman ghosts working. Some customers get impatient from waiting. Hence, I designed this automatic barbecue array to raise the efficiency by a significant margin. The automatic barbecue array can be considered an innovation. When I return to the Celestial Palace, I can even use this to exchange for contribution points. This array is also simple. Who knows if I can promote it on a greater scale in the future. The Moon Laurel Celestial Palace was also similar to the Dao-seeking sect in that they had similar long-term missions. Lu Yang. It looks like the rapid growth of the barbecue shop is inexorable. Meng Jingzhou gleefully took a tofu mask. This tofu mask looks pretty good. Come, 1 for each person. Lu Yang, look at how well this tofu mask complements you. Both of you are practically identical. Lu Yang stared at the square-shaped tofu mask and rolled his eyes as he accepted the mask. I won't lower myself to the level of an idiot. Lan Ting continued, I also set up a spirit energy gathering array, soundproofing array, and other arrays to aid in cultivation on the 2nd floor. This was the only good news Lu Yang had heard ever since he stepped inside the shop. That's too expensive. Setting up the array requires many spirit stones, right? Calculate how many you've used, the 3 of us will fork out the cost. Lan Ting waved her hand. They're all just pocket money. Meng Jingzhou suddenly raised his head, eyeing Lan Ting warily. It was his first time meeting an opponent in the field of flaunting one's wealth. With Lan Ting's addition, the trio's life became much more relaxed, and they could focus on searching for the talismans in the day. Over the next 10 days, the trio had managed to pinpoint the locations of more than 200 talismans, and they were in the same positions as the nodes of the lifespan reversal array. After determining the pattern, they went to other node positions and did end up finding more lifespan reversal talismans. What do we do? Should we inform Captain Wei? Meng Jingzhou asked. Lu Yang was in a dilemma. If we tell Captain Wei the positions of the talismans, his superior will definitely know that someone is helping them in secret. Once branch leader Chu learns of this, he may suspect that it's our doing. But if we don't tell him and leave the talismans scattered throughout Yanjiang Commandery, they will remain a threat. Waiter, give us 200 lamb skewers and 200 beef skewers. An unrestrained voice bellowed. Even the tiger henchman ghosts in the backyard could hear it. Normally, the information in this voice would have scared them out of their wits. However, with the introduction of the automatic barbecue array, their workload had decreased appreciably. 200 lamb skewers and 200 beef skewers. Even if you count in another 200 pork skewers, we're not afraid at all. Another 200 pork skewers. The spirited voice continued to shout. Whoever it was, they sounded wealthy. Lu Yang narrowed his eyes, finding the owner of the voice to be somewhat familiar. It's One Zhang Red. He participated in the Creed selection trials. The two behind him are also at the Foundation establishment stage like One Zhang Red is. These three people didn't pass the selection trials. Would they recognize us? Man Ji Yu asked. The three of us previously masqueraded as examiners and tricked One Zhang Red. Lu Yang shook his head. They won't. The branch leader had mentioned before that to maintain the confidentiality of the branches, those who didn't pass will have their memories erased. They no longer remember what transpired at the selection trials. With no one serving him for a while, One Zhang Red hollered in a gruff voice, "Where's everyone? Are all of you deaf? Coming, I'm here. What do you wish to order, patron?" Lu Yang scampered over. One Zhang Red's attitude was insufferable. 200 each for the pork, beef, and lamb skewers. As for the rest, you can make the call. I heard from my grandfather that your food is the most delicious here. If it's not tasty, I'm going to smash your store. Clearly, he hadn't recognized Lu Yang. If he had, he would have directly smashed Lu Yang's store. Lu Yang greeted with a smile and bowed. Please rest assured, our barbecue skewers will be so delicious that you wish you could eat them for your whole life. One Zhang Red snorted and didn't bother with Lu Yang. His two companions also closed their eyes and didn't deign to talk to Lu Yang. Lu Yang transmitted an auditory message to Meng Jingzhou. Inform Captain Wei that there are 3 rogue diabolic cultivators who are at the Foundation establishment stage. He can gather his men to arrest them. These rogue diabolic cultivators kill people like flies. They would have died countless times according to the law. Lu Yang was not going to be benevolent to them. Let me show you the power of the diabolic paths method, whistleblowing. Meng Jingzhou was stunned. We don't have evidence, right? How can we tell that they are rogue diabolic cultivators and also at the Foundation establishment stage? Will Captain Wei believe that? Lu Yang smirked. What's not to believe? Just say that we noticed that he seems to be carrying talismans that cause people to fall asleep. Meng Jingzhou got Lu Yang's cue. They had a few lifespan reversal talismans in their hands, perfect for framing others. All right, I'll be right back. Meng Jingzhou sprinted away. After Captain Wei heard the news, he was shocked to hear that 3 Foundation establishment diabolic cultivators had appeared and that they seemed to have lifespan reversal talismans in their possession. This is not a small matter. He hurriedly reported it to Fang Qingyan. After learning of the news, Fang Qingyan immediately led a huge group to surround and apprehend the 3 diabolic cultivators. Regardless of whether they possessed lifespan reversal talismans, 3 Foundation establishment diabolic cultivators warranted such a massive operation. Upon arriving at the barbecue shop, Fang Qingyan released the oppressive aura of a golden core cultivator, freezing One Zhang Red and his group in place. With a wave of his hand, he sternly ordered, "Take them down. Frisk them." Before One Zhang Red and the gang could register what was happening, Several Foundation establishment constable captains had already tackled them to the ground. What on earth is going on? Is eating barbecue skewers in Yanjiang Commandery illegal? Next, Captain Wei found a whopping number of lifespan reversal talismans on one Zhang Red, far more than the few talismans Lu Yang had planted to frame them with. It was indeed you guys who placed those lifespan reversal talismans. Fang Qingyan glared at one Zhang Red. It's all because of him that I didn't get to rest for days. Lu Yang. Meng Jingzhou. Wow, did you have to be this cooperative? One Zhang Hong and his companions were even more baffled. Our execution has been flawless without leaving behind any traces. Why did the constables come to arrest us? What exactly went wrong? Chapter 90, Interrogation Transcript. Name. 1 Zhang Red. Be honest, I'm asking for your real name. Zhang Little Red. 1. The oil lamp flickered inside the dingy interrogation chamber. Fang Qingyan crossed his arms as he sneered at the suspect they had just apprehended. Constable Captain Wei locked his gaze onto one Zhang Red as he fired one question after another, while a young constable diligently scribbled down the details of the interrogation at a table by the side. Gender. Male. Cultivation. Great perfection apex late foundation establishment stage. Captain Wei snorted. Jot down, late foundation establishment stage, and skip everything before that. Zhang Little Red, I'm telling you now, if you think that fairness is compromised with us handling this case, you can request recusal, in other words, to have someone else take over. Do you want to request a recusal? I request. Captain Wei made a drawn-out, his voice rising in pitch. Zhang Little Red hastily corrected himself, no, I'm not requesting recusal. Tell me then, what got you in here? Not paying for barbecue skewers. Fang Qingyan was annoyed. Forget about interrogating him and execute him on the spot. We'll just say that he violently resisted during arrest and would rather die than surrender, taking his own life with poison. This was something Fang Qingyan was definitely capable of doing. Still shackled, one Zhang Red hurriedly blurted out, I'll confess. It was around 10 days ago. I woke up at the bottom of a cliff. I probably slipped by accident when I passed by the mountain on the west side of Yanjiang Commandery. By the time I came to, I realized that I was in a mountain cave, likely a dwelling of some cultivator. It looked like nobody's been there for a long time. I gingerly walked in, but apart from a book, I found nothing valuable. In fact, this was the book you confiscated when you frisked us. The book recorded some obscure talismans and complementary arrays. One example is the Lifespan Reversal Talisman and Lifespan Reversal Array. According to the description in the book, the Lifespan Reversal Talisman can convert lifespans into cultivation for myself. I happened to be at a bottleneck stage, so I was hoping to break through in one go and advance to the Golden Core stage. It will be carefree for me then. Besides, this breakthrough method can also allow one to extend their lifespan. It was too tempting. Fang Qingyan lashed out in ire. I've consulted the commandery governor. Based on the scale of your setup, breaking through from the foundation establishment to the Golden Core stage is nothing. It's more than enough for you to break through from the Golden Core to Nascent Soul stage. One Zhang Red grumbled inwardly, I know that it's wasteful too, but I didn't know of other methods. Naturally, he couldn't say that out loud. One Zhang Red pretended that he didn't hear Fang Qingyan chiding him. I'm a talisman cultivator myself, so it didn't take long for me to master the Lifespan Reversal Talisman. Setting up the Lifespan Reversal Array is also not difficult. I just have to arrange the talismans in the shape of the array. Since the talisman's effects on cultivators are undetectable and only induces sleepiness in mortals, it's easily overlooked. Moreover, once the array is fully set up, there wouldn't even be signs of sleepiness. However, the array requires too many talismans, so it's impossible to paste them up in a short span of time. Fortunately, I met two companions. They are the other two people you've arrested. Speaking of which, there's something I find strange. Those two people aren't from Yanjiang Commandery, but they happened to show up here, and they couldn't remember the reason for coming. Anyway, we hit it off right away and decided to break through the foundation establishment stage together. We were prudent in not leaving any traces and laying low when you were making a fuss to search for the Lifespan Reversal Talismans. We felt that this place was becoming more dangerous, so we wanted to leave Yanjiang Commandery. Before we left though, we heard that there is a very famous barbecue shop here and wanted to give it a try. All of you turned up before the skewers were even served. One Zhang Red's face was contorted in bemusement. He just couldn't figure out where they had slipped up. Captain Wei naturally wouldn't tell him that the zealous shop owner had reported them. After the interrogation ended, Captain Wei ordered him to sign his name and fingerprint. Write down your name at the bottom of every page. On the last page, write, "I have reviewed the above statements and they are consistent with what I have said." After that, press your fingerprint wherever you sign. As usual, the next day, Captain Wei brought a silk banner. He was even wondering if he should set up an office at the barbecue shop and live there. The efficiency of capturing offenders here is much higher than patrolling all day. If this goes on, becoming the chief constable will be within sight. Shop owner Lu, your barbecue shop has good feng shui, outstanding people, and a prime place. Lu Yang gave a humble smile. Whether the place is prime is secondary, what's most important is having outstanding people. Things have been too busy at the Yamen lately. Once it's less busy, I'll see if I can apply to award you with an excellent establishment wooden plaque. That would be amazing. Here, I just boiled some water, have a drink while it's hot. Lu Yang enthusiastically poured a cup of water. Why are you still so busy? Haven't you caught the perpetrators? Well, we have arrested the culprits and also found the place where one of them had confessed. It's a deserted mountain cave. Some wanted criminals from the diabolic path probably hid in there before. After the lifespan reversal talismans are torn down from the locations, it should be considered case closed. The problem is the coming spring harvest festival. By the looks of it, there will be 20% more people compared to the previous year. I wanted time off, but the chief constable didn't approve of it. He said that I should patrol more during this festive period. Feel free to come and take a break here if you're tired from patrolling. Our shop will be operating as usual during the festival. After seeing Captain Wei off, Meng Jingzhou let out a long breath. Finally, it's over. The last few days had us on edge hunting for those lifespan reversal talismans every day. Maybe one Zhang Red saw how hard of a time we were having and came here to surrender himself. Man Ji Yu paused for a moment. I don't think this was what one Zhang Red really had in mind. Lu Yang noticed that Lan Ting had been making some gestures for a while now and asked curiously, "What are you doing?" Lan Ting didn't even look up. "I'm experimenting with a new automatic skewering array where the bamboo skewers can automatically string the meat together." Lu Yang picked up a bamboo skewer with 2 fingers and lifted it pensively. Suddenly, he tossed a few pieces of meat into the air, then hurled the bamboo skewer out. Unfortunately, the bamboo skewer brushed past the meat without stringing them together. Man Ji Yu didn't understand what Lu Yang was trying to do and thought that the latter was playing some new game. On the other hand, Meng Jingzhou's eyes lit up. "Are you thinking of practicing covert weapon techniques by skewering meat with the bamboo skewers?" Lu Yang smiled, implicitly affirming Meng Jingzhou's conjecture. Soon, Meng Jingzhou joined in the training and experimented with how he should apply precise force to skewer the moving pieces of meat in midair. Man Ji Yu hesitantly asked, "This isn't something the righteous path does, right?" Lu Yang answered in a prim and proper manner, "That's not quite right. Have you not heard of the saying, 'The bamboo clings to the green mountains unyieldingly, its roots firmly planted inside cracks of the rock. It stands resolute despite weathering through countless trials, unafraid of wind from the 4 directions. Bamboo is resilient and refined, the mark of a humble gentleman.' How could using bamboo as a weapon be considered a covert weapon? This is a weapon only a gentleman uses." Man Ji Yu felt as if he had just seen the light. "So that's how it is. Let me try too then." Lan Ting was focused on experimenting with her array, a few bamboo skewers hovering in midair. Whoosh! The skewers lodged themselves straight into the wall, their ends still vibrating. Had the target been a person, they would have died. Its power is a bit too much. Lan Ting scratched her head in frustration. "I've already tried my best to reduce its power. If I can't make an automatic skewering array, I might as well crank the power up to the maximum." The 2 tiger henchmen ghosts trembled uncontrollably as they watched the scene of devils dancing around madly. Check out our playlist for more amazing novels. Continue. Chapter 91. After the sun extinguishes, it is the moon. Prior to Lanting setting up the Spirit Energy Gathering Array, the trio had individually trained in a bid to enhance their foundation establishment cultivation. With the introduction of the Spirit Energy Gathering Array on the second floor, the four of them now cultivated together. During their free pockets of time, they would even gain deep insights into cultivation through their exchanges with one another. For example, Lu Yang learned that Manji Yu couldn't recite words of sages while in horse stance but could be in horse stance while reciting words of sages, and that Manji Yu found the former to be a form of disrespect to the sages. For example, Manji Yu learned that Meng Jingzhou would often visit the brothel in the day and do nothing else but listen to songs in order to strengthen his mental power, something Manji Yu found admirable. For example, Meng Jingzhou learned that when Lu Yang had food stuck between his teeth, the latter would use cowhair sword chi to pick it out, which Meng Jingzhou found to be an entirely novel cultivation method. For example, Lanting learned that the central continent was once refined from stars. Never have I once expected something like that. Lanting was dumbstruck, though this new piece of information also helped to alleviate some of her doubts. Lanting pondered about it for a bit and figured that it wasn't something she couldn't share. As all of you know, our name, Moon Laurel Celestial Palace, carries two layers of meaning. The first meaning is derived from the moon laurel trees that grow throughout the Celestial Palace. The second interpretation comes from the Celestial Palace's belief that the moon holds some special significance. The Moon Laurel Celestial Palace was built atop a snowy mountain so that it could be as close as possible to the moon, a testament to the moon's importance to the Celestial Palace. When I joined the Moon Laurel Celestial Palace, I asked my Shifu, why does the moon hold a special meaning? What about the sun and other stars? Can we draw power from stars such as the Big Dipper? My Shifu answered that the moon and sun are one. As for the other stars, she had simply smiled meaningfully without saying anything else. However, she would always smile like that when faced with something she wasn't sure about, so I didn't make much of it. Linking that with what you've just told me, I feel that she probably knew the truth about the stars. Lu Yang knitted his brow. The moon and the sun are one. Lanting nodded. I initially didn't know what that meant until one time after class, I heard two of my senior sisters talking and mentioning, after the sun extinguishes, it is the moon. After the sun extinguishes, it is the moon. Lu Yang was surprised. He had never heard of such a concept before. Could it be the stars scattered across the sky are unreal shadow images while the sun and moon truly exist and are two sides of the same entity? It's the sun when it blazes in the day, and it's the moon when it extinguishes at night. The sun's energy is extremely terrifying. One theory is that the sun is the source of all living beings. Even now, there are people who harness the sun's power to cultivate, visualize, or comprehend. If the sun is the moon, what happens to all that energy after it extinguishes? This should be an enormous amount of power. Does the sun withdraw this energy into itself and transform into the moon at night? Come to think of it, why did the ancient Nameless One refine all the stars except the sun? Lu Yang muttered to himself. If the sun is gone, the world will be consumed by darkness, and countless beings will wither. According to branch leader Chu, the ancient Nameless One had no regard for lives, so they probably wouldn't have spared the sun out of benevolence. Meng Jingzhou suddenly asked, have you heard of the Radiant Sun Creed? Do you mean one of the four great diabolic creeds? Lu Yang hardly knew anything about them. That's the one. The Radiant Sun Creed worships the sun, believing that it possesses some divine and wondrous power. When the sun reawakes, all things will perish, and they advocate for self-destruction before that happens so that they can head to the kingdom of Elysium. Meng Jingzhou added, I don't mean to be disrespectful to the Moon Laurel Celestial Palace, but if the sun and moon are one, we can draw some similarities between the Radiant Sun Creed's views and that of the Celestial Palace. Both believe that the sun and moon respectively hold a special significance and possess terrifying power. Lanting shook her head, not finding Meng Jingzhou's words offensive. There were similar opinions within the Moon Laurel Celestial Palace, including even more radical ones. Meng Jingzhou voiced his conjecture, perhaps the ancient Nameless One is hiding right inside the sun. Since time immemorial, the sun has been hanging in the sky without anyone questioning it. It's a blind spot. Lu Yang offered another theory, or it could be that the sun contains such immense power within that even the ancient Nameless One was unwilling to touch it. That said, no matter what the truth is, the sun and moon are definitely not as peaceful as they appear to be. Never mind, let's not think about it anymore. It's the spring festival after all. Let's go out and have some fun. Meng Jingzhou gave up on ruminating over the issue further and encouraged everyone to take some time off. Rather than overthinking it now, I should just go home and ask the elders. Those people surely know more than I do. Just like how they kept their mouths tight despite knowing that I have a single spirit root, even telling me that I'll find out once I get to the Tao-seeking sect. With the Spring Harvest Festival coming up, the festive mood had intensified. Various shops ran their own events, preparing to receive a flood of customers. The barbecue shop was also in the preparatory phase, offering complimentary tofu masks with each purchase of skewers, which was a hit among the children. Small colorful flags decorated the whole street, a tradition in Yanjiang commandery that was funded and organized by the authorities. They were meant to symbolize the colors of spring to welcome the season. It was said that Commandery Governor Li had specifically instructed for the flags to be set up quickly to avoid disrupting the daily lives of the civilians, deploying much manpower in the process. In reality, it wouldn't have affected the civilians' normal routine. Commandery Governor Li was just putting on a show for the people. Meng Jingzhou smiled. These small flags really add to the festive atmosphere. Even the entrance of the barbecue shop had a small red flag planted there. Come check this out. These are all rare books. An old man with yellow teeth was hawking on the street, drawing the group's attention. What books do you have? Martial arts secret manuals, limited editions of cultivation techniques, you name it. The old man grinned. Meng Jingzhou casually browsed through the collection. Suddenly, his eyes lit up as he found a martial arts secret manual. Lu Yang, look, this book is perfect for you. If you're willing to cultivate this, I guarantee you'll reach the highest level. Lu Yang looked at the cover. Toad-style Kung Fu. Get lost. Soon, Lu Yang also came across a secret manual and recommended it to Meng Jingzhou. This secret manual is practically tailor-made for you. If you're willing to cultivate this, it's possible for you to become a martial immortal in the future. Meng Jingzhou looked at the cover. Sunflower Manual. 1. The two exchanged glances and chuckled, kindly, buying the secret manual for the other party. Man Ji-yu saw that the first page of the Sunflower Manual wrote, "One who wishes to practice this Kung Fu must first self-castrate." He couldn't help but ponder, can't women practice this martial art? On the other hand, Lan Ting was oblivious to Lu Yang and Meng Jingzhou's banter, for she was engrossed in reading a classical Zhonghuiti novel. 2. The story was about a renowned courtesan who pursued true love and entrusted her life to a scholar in order to buy her freedom and quit the trade. However, the scholar was weak and selfish. Although he loved the courtesan, he was embarrassed to marry a courtesan as his wife. Under his friend's instigation, he eventually betrayed the courtesan, culminating in the tragic ending of the courtesan drowning herself in the river. Tears streamed down Lan Ting's eyes as she found the courtesan's fate to be very pitiful. Noticing how immersed Lan Ting was in the story, Lu Yang craned his neck to have a peer. He also found the story to be vivid and touching. He tilted his head to look at the title of the book. Dream of the Green Brothel Chamber. 3. Lu Yang. He found the title to be particularly amusing. Chapter 92, Cultivator's Bazaar. The four of them purchased the respective books they had taken a liking to. Out of a fascination for history, Man Ji-yu had bought a copy of the wild unofficial history of Great Shah. Inscribed were numerous stories that even an insider like Meng Jingzhou found wild. Regardless, the four of them were satisfied with their choices. As they continued sauntering, they began to realize that there were increasingly more cultivators in proportion to mortals in the crowd, as if some mysterious force had separated these two groups. Lan Ting transmitted an auditory message to the other three, an expulsion-type array has been set up nearby. Cultivators are unaffected, while mortals will involuntarily distance themselves. Meng Jingzhou immediately associated it with the news he had heard during his usual stroll. It's the monthly bazaar. They're likely opening early for the upcoming Spring Harvest Festival. The Spring Harvest Festival attracted both mortals and cultivators alike. They were currently at a proper bazaar, not a black market where killing and looting were common occurrences. In fact, they could even see constables patrolling the area. That said, there were still some people masking their faces and wearing black robes to conceal their identity. This was nothing surprising. Some cultivators hid among mortals. If they showed their faces around here, wouldn't that be akin to exposing their identities? Lu Yang and Gang were such examples. The four had concealed their identities in different manners. Meng Jingzhou and Man Jiyu chose to wear black robes because they found them to be cool. Meng Jingzhou even cackled sinisterly to add to the vibes. Lan Ting removed her shape-shifting talisman, revealing her original peerless appearance which she donned whenever she was searching for clues about the diabolic creeds in Yanjiang Commentary. Lu Yang tried to persuade Meng Jingzhou, "Why don't I use the animal form fist to turn into you?" Meng Jingzhou responded by smacking a tofu mask onto Lu Yang's face. And thus, Lu Yang put on a tofu mask. Inside the bazaar, it was quite the ambiance for cultivators, completely different from that of the outside world. A gigantic protective barrier enveloped the whole bazaar, emitting a soft glow. Cultivators who hadn't seen each other in a while stopped by at roadside taverns to have a drink while freely exchanging news of their recent encounters. Vendors and cultivators would also get into quarrels over the prices, each of them haggling to squeeze out a few more spirit stones from the other party. The authorities had even put up an arena where cultivators could fight it out to their heart's content. Come check this out. Ultra-strength pills concocted from an ancestral secret technique. One pill to gain infinite strength. Lu Yang was intrigued. He followed the voice and found himself at a medical clinic. It looks like this medical clinic is run by cultivators. I wonder if the one hawking is an apprentice or a pill concocting master. How many spirit stones for one pill? The pill concocting master's apprentice replied, 10 spirit stones for one. Buy 3, get 1 free, buy 5, get 2 free. Since the price was affordable, it implied that the pill's target audience was chi training cultivators rather than foundation establishment cultivators like Lu Yang. Nonetheless, Lu Yang wanted to buy 2 pills as keepsakes. It was his first time seeing someone else not from the Tao-seeking sect concocting pills. What about its effects? It can boost your strength for a short span of time, but after the effect wears off, you'll be left in a weak state for half a day. Lu Yang bought 1 pill. Just as he was about to leave, he saw a constable enter, and it was someone he recognized. The constable's surname was Sun, and he was Captain Wei's sidekick. I received a report that your ultra-strength pills involve false advertising. The pill concocting apprentice was stunned. False advertising. Constable Captain Sun solemnly explained, according to the law, one is not allowed to use words such as limit and most when advertising their products. Through our investigation, we found that your ultra-strength pills are only suitable for cultivators at level 3 chi training stage and below with no observed effects of infinite strength. After this warning, we expect you to make the relevant amendments. The pill concocting apprentice nodded compliantly. After Lu Yang left, he heard the voice from the medical clinic again, "Come check this out. Ultra-strength pills concocted from an ancestral secret technique. 1 pill to gain finite strength." Lu Yang suddenly thought to himself, senior brother Wu Ming's 10 buffalo strength pills are really flawless. They don't even face common problems like false advertising. As for Meng Jingzhou, not only was he well informed, but there were also fairly legitimate pill concocting masters at home, so he wasn't very interested in common items. What is this? Meng Jingzhou picked up a small item from a stall. It encompassed 2 wooden sticks glued together. For making janbing guozi. Even something like this is sold at the bazaar. The stall owner was a middle-aged man with a full beard with a calm and stern visage. He had been resting with his eyes closed. Upon hearing Meng Jingzhou, he reluctantly opened his eyes, exuding the aura of a great artifact crafting master. This item is called the Flying Aspara 2 rod. Place it on the top of your head and activate it with spirit energy, and it will spiral upward to the sky. Level 7 chi training stage is sufficient. Meng Jingzhou was astonished. This little bazaar is truly full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers in hiding to have hidden gems such as this great artifact crafting master. Without special means, cultivators have to be minimally at the golden core stage to fly high up in the sky. If we consider special means, however, Lu Yang can already fly on his sword at the foundation establishment stage, or he can use animal form fist to turn into an immortal crane. That would let him fly too. In any case, barring special circumstances, the point stands that the minimal requirement for cultivators to fly is the foundation establishment stage. I've never heard of a level 7 Chi training cultivator being able to fly. Since their power would be sparse at this stage, it would be challenging for them to command flying enchanted treasures. This content is taken from F.E.E. Webnov. L.co?. You don't seem to believe it. That doesn't matter, I'll demonstrate it once for you. The bearded middle-aged man confidently took out a wooden puppet. He tied the flying Aspara rod to the wooden puppet and shot a wisp of spirit energy from his fingertip at the flying Aspara rod. As if it had just woken up from its slumber, the flying Aspara rod began rotating slowly. It then sped up until only a blur remained. Together with the wooden puppet, the flying Aspara rod flew upward. There appeared to be no problem. However, if one had to insist on picking out a problem, it would be that as the flying Aspara rod spun, the wooden puppet would spin along with its head as the pivot and its body twirling at the same breakneck speed as the flying Aspara rod. Had it been a human underneath the flying Aspara rod, their brain juices would probably have blended into a mixture. See, I told you that my puppet is of supreme quality. It doesn't come apart even when whirling at such rapid speed. I'm not trying to brag, but this puppet of mine can even hold its own when faced with a foundation establishment cultivator. The price is also a bargain. I'll give you a one-time offer of just 800. Give it to your grandpa. Meng Jingzhou finally caught on to the other party's tactic. He's just promoting his puppet under the banner of the flying Aspara rod. Evidently, the bazaar was riddled with trickery and schemes. Honest people like Lu Yang and Meng Jingzhou were becoming rare nowadays. Lu Yang and the other three planned to head to the district under the Luodi Merchant Guild. It was supposed to be more regulated, and they hoped that they wouldn't meet with similar scams again. Dear customers, would you like to have your fortune told? Lu Yang turned back and saw that it was a fortune teller with a Bagua flag behind him who had called out to them. The flag wrote, "Vaticinate not heaven and earth but people." The business seemed to be dismal with not a customer in sight. Noticing that he had caught the attention of Lu Yang's group, he added, "No need to pay if it's inaccurate. Do you want to give it a try?" Lu Yang scrutinized whatever he had on his table: a Bagua compass, dice, 4 treasures of the study, 9 copper coins, a crystal ball. Everything that is even slightly related to fortune telling is on display. Is this reliable? And why is there a crystal ball? Chapter 93, Fortune Telling. The fortune teller was a cultivator around the same age as Lu Yang. Upon noticing Lu Yang's gaze, he begrudgingly explained, "I have no choice. People nowadays don't really believe in fortune telling. They keep chanting things like, 'Fate lies in my hands, not the heavens,' and 'I am the master of my own destiny.' It's honestly hard to make a living. Some people prefer to use the Bagua compass for divination, so I prepared one. Some people want to predict their luck in gambling, so I prepared dice. Some people find logomancy to be accurate, so I prepared the 4 treasures of the study. Some people think that tossing copper coins is the most effective, so I prepared 9 copper coins. And this crystal ball. It's a trend that emerged in the East Sea in recent years. Since people like to use crystal balls for fortune telling, I even specially traveled to the East Sea to pick up a thing or two. Besides, this crystal ball can not only perform divinations, it also secretly plays short videos. One tool for twice the income. How about it? Do you want to choose one and give it a try? No need to pay if it isn't effective, the fortune teller touted his services fervently. Lu Yang and Meng Jingzhou peered at the fortune teller in suspicion as they put on their guard. They couldn't help but feel that the fortune teller was not as simple as he seemed. It looked like he had seen through something. It was Mangu's first time encountering a fortune teller, and he found it very interesting. "Can you tell my fortune?" The corners of the fortune teller's mouth curved into a smile. "Sure, which divination method do you prefer, and what do you want to inquire about?" Man Ji contemplated for a bit, taking into account that he was a Confucian cultivator. "Let's go with logomancy then. I'll write a character, and you'll analyze if I can become a great Confucian scholar." "Please write." The fortune teller skillfully laid out the calligraphy tools and invited Man Ji to begin. Man Ji deftly wrote a character, his brush flying across the paper. The fortune teller tapped on it and let out a long hiss. Your character. What's the problem? Man Ji Yu asked anxiously. Your handwriting is so ugly. What character is this? Ru for Confucian. Despite being speechless, the fortune teller collected himself and evaluated. The Confucian is one who embodies softness, often referred to as a skilled savant. Its character encompasses the human, radical, and shu guides its pronunciation. 2. This chapt. R is updated by Fr. E. Webb. Oval. C. M. You have a strong body and appear to be indestructible, yet you actually possess a soft heart. You are vacillating, taking in everything at face value and imitating everything you learn. Look at the character for shu, which means need. It is made up of the character ran at the top and will at the bottom. As the adage goes, clouds gather in the sky. When the need arises, it will bring about rain at the right time. This implies that you will be needed by others in the future. Notice that the radical for human stands to the side. This suggests that not only can you become a great Confucian scholar, you can even become a new style of a great Confucian scholar. Man Ji Yu was over the moon to hear that he could become a great Confucian scholar. His level of Confucianism ranked one of the lowest under Fourth Elder. However, Fourth Elder didn't mind it and firmly supported the notion of education without discrimination, claiming that Man Ji Yu had simply not become enlightened yet. As long as Man Ji Yu achieved enlightenment, Fourth Elder was confident that Man Ji Yu would be able to comprehend the Tao of Confucianism in one go, his future one of boundless opportunities. In spite of all that, Man Ji Yu kept losing confidence. After hearing the fortune teller's analysis which asserted that he could become a great scholar, Man Ji Yu regained his confidence. I do have great potential. Oh, there's one more thing. What? Practice your writing more when you get back. Oh, do you need a copybook? I happen to have one right here. You should take one. This is a necessary expense for your journey to becoming a great Confucian scholar. Man Ji Yu felt that he made a lot of sense, so he bought the copybook. Seeing that Man Ji Yu was done, Lan Ting also got interested in giving fortune-telling a try and sat down. I want to know whether I'll have greater achievements in arrays or talismans. Let's use the crystal ball. She hadn't focused much on arrays recently, yet her interest in arrays seemed to have surpassed that in talismans. That prompted her to contemplate whether she should change her area of specialization. The fortune teller raised the crystal ball toward Lan Ting, rubbing it with both hands as he chanted, Heavenly spirits, earthly spirits, crystal ball, show yourself. Heavenly spirits, earthly spirits, crystal ball, show yourself. 3. When he saw the results displayed by the crystal ball, he was completely floored. In the future, you will write arrays on talismans, combining arrays and talismans into one. He cast a strange gaze at Lan Ting. What kind of unorthodox thought process is this? This female cultivator is peerlessly beautiful, but why are her ideas so different from those of normal people? Lan Ting tilted her head, finding that the fortune teller's words were not without merit, so she readily paid him. It was now Meng Jingzhou's turn. He raised an eyebrow. Are you a disciple of the Heaven Strategy sect? The Heaven Strategy sect was the #1 fortune-telling sect on the central continent. They had once prophesied the time of resurgence of the great ancient era. As they were a sect that emphasized karma, ordinary identity concealment methods were practically ineffective in front of them. All it took was a glance for the disciples of the Heaven Strategy sect to discern the other party's background. Perhaps this fortune teller has managed to identify that we come from the Tao-seeking sect in Moon Laurel Celestial Palace. Haha, junior brother, you must be mistaken. I am but a free spirit and idler. How could I possibly be a disciple of the Heaven Strategy sect? Meng Jingzhou fell silent for a bit. Then, he took out a blood contract scroll from his identity jade pendant. 300 years ago, the Grand Elder of the Heaven Strategy sect borrowed a large sum of top-grade spirit stones from the Meng family. He couldn't repay it and hid inside a cave abode, claiming that he was in absolute seclusion. When we went to the Heaven Strategy sect to collect the debt, your sect leader signed a blood contract, promising to repay it. Furthermore, when any direct descendant of the Meng family meets a disciple of the Heaven Strategy sect, they can demand repayment with this blood contract. Do you want to test the power of this blood contract? Lu Yang had heard that the Meng family was the creditor of the world. It looks like this rumor didn't come out of nowhere. The fortune teller plonked himself to the ground with a thud, hugging Meng Jingzhou's leg as he burst out crying, "Big brother Meng, please have a sliver of mercy, maybe we'll cross paths again in the future. Our sect is so poor that the disciples have to leave the mountain and eke out a living for ourselves. If I, Luo Bu, had the money, I wouldn't have been reduced to scamming people here. To make things worse, setting up a stall requires a fee, and I can't even afford that." Luo Bu bewailed his poverty. "Look at the magua I'm wearing. I've been sewing and mending this for many years. I don't even have the money to replace it." Meng Jingzhou rolled his eyes. "It's so obvious that this magua has been refined and fetches an exorbitant price. I'm not expecting you to pay up, so get up first." Meng Jingzhou forcefully extricated his leg. "Give the two of us a free reading, and I will let it slide. Remember, don't lie." "Ha ha ha, that's not difficult. Come. What are my destiny and future achievements like?" Lu Yang spread his hands, allowing Luo Bu to read his palm. Luo Bu laughed heartily, confident as usual in his domain of expertise. "That's a common question. Let me take a look then." To their surprise, Luo Bu's eyes widened, and he sprung up. Incredulity distorted his face as he stumbled a few steps backward until he hit the wall. What's with your destiny? It's all hazy. In the future, you will be entangled in karmic ties with several immortals. Despite all these karmic entwinements, he can still move freely, as if he isn't affected. And that's not the most terrifying part. The most terrifying thing is that this guy will be a scourge in the cultivation world, propagating the ethos of the Tao-seeking sect through the entire cultivation community. The Tao-seeking sect's ethos is already outrageous. If the whole cultivation world gets brainwashed, how are people going to survive? I definitely mustn't get myself involved in any karmic entanglements with someone like this. Luo Bu whined inside his heart. I saw that the four of them came from the 5 great immortal sects, perfect lambs for slaughter. I thought I could cheat some money out of them, but I totally didn't expect that there's someone like this guy who I certainly can't mess with. Wait, from the palm reading, this guy isn't the only one who will be spreading toxic influence to the rest of the cultivation world. Someone else is in cahoots. This other person is. Luo Bu looked toward the major creditor, Meng Jingzhou. I better run right now. Without any hesitation, Luo Bu activated an escape spell, not even bothering to pack up the items on the table. I didn't see all of you today. He was worried that staying even a moment longer might cost him his life. Before the four could register what was happening, Luo Bu had already escaped without a trace. Lu Yang blamed Meng Jingzhou. You must have scared him off with your debt collection. Chapter 94. Could this be that legendary book which hides? Not a stranger to Lu Yang's skills in the art of framing and accusations, Meng Jingzhou retorted in disdain. What do you mean I scared him away? Didn't you hear him say that you will be involved in karmic entanglements with immortals in the future? I bet you'll do something that triggers the wrath of the immortals so much that they unite against you. Lu Yang waved his hand dismissively. That's impossible. I know myself, I wouldn't go that overboard. It must be an excuse Luo Bu fabricated. The two kept passing the buck to each other, resolute in not admitting any fault of their own. Man Ji tried to open his mouth. Could it be that the problem lies with both of you? However, he held those words back in the end. After a few days of interaction, Lan Ting had gradually become familiar with Lu Yang's and Meng Jingzhou's style of speaking, so she treated their argument as mere background noise. Look, it's the Luodi Merchant Guild. Let me take you there for a tour. At the entrance of the Luodi Merchant Guild was a small, chubby pig holding a coin. This display was none other than the Merchant Guild's classic mascot. Lu Yang had long heard of the Luodi Merchant Guild's resounding reputation and wanted to take a look around. The interior of the Merchant Guild was tastefully decorated in a subdued manner, exuding a palatable elegance as opposed to other chambers of commerce that tried to flaunt their wealth in every way possible with their ostentatious decorations. The Luodi Merchant Guild had no need for showing off, its name alone spoke volumes. Everyone on the central continent knew that they were the #1 merchant guild. The assortment of goods on display left Man Ji dazzled. There were pills meticulously crafted by masters, spirit treasures painstakingly crafted by artisans, natural materials and treasures unearthed from perilous places by fearless ones, and the gamut of talismans and arrays from simple to complex. When Man Ji-yu saw the price tags, he felt like he was a pauper. Despite noticing that Meng Jingzhou and Lan Ting were casually strolling around without fretting over the prices, he found it somewhat acceptable. However, he was flabbergasted that his brother Lu, whom he thought was of a similar financial status, appeared indifferent to the prices. Man Ji-yu silently asked, "Brother Lu, the things here are so expensive. I can't afford any of them." That was naturally an exaggeration. What he couldn't afford were those impressive-looking items suitable for Foundation establishment cultivators. Lu Yang stared at Man Ji-yu in astonishment. "Why would you want to buy the things here? Look at all these pills, magical treasures. They may look opulent and extravagant, but they're actually just for show. In terms of practicality, can any of them compare to what our sect produces?" Man Ji-yu nodded. "True indeed. Our sect's Yutiao are cheap, sturdy, and chewy. More than a month has passed, yet Brother Meng still hasn't finished eating the Yutiao Brother Lu gave him, with half remaining. Besides, if we have no money, can't we try to earn some? With our status, we can make money just by selling any random thing. Just watch, I'll demonstrate." Lu Yang approached an attendant quietly standing at the side. "Excuse me, do you accept spells here?" The attendant replied respectfully, "Greetings, yes, we do accept spells. However, we only accept those that are not available in our merchant guild. We have all the common cultivation techniques here. May I know if you are looking to sell a cultivation technique?" Lu Yang nodded. "I have a shapeshifting technique here. One can shapeshift and attack at the same time. It's a family secret of mine." The attendant was astounded. "I've been working here for 10 years, but I've never heard of such a shapeshifting technique. Please come with me. There's an auction today, and Master Appraiser Yang Xuanling is overseeing it. We will ask him to assess the value of your shapeshifting technique." The four were brought into a room. An elderly man with glasses had his head buried in a book, looking like an experienced and knowledgeable person. The attendant whispered into Yang Xuanling's ear. "Oh, there's such a spell. I got it. You may withdraw." "Understood." The attendant retreated from the room deferentially. "I heard that you four have a shapeshifting technique that allows one to shapeshift and attack at the same time?" Yang Xuanling asked. "That's right." Lu Yang took out a copy of his Lu-style animal form fist. Yang Xuanling paused for a moment. "Unless my eyesight has deteriorated to the point of misreading things, the book seems to write, animal form fist." Lu Yang stepped forward and crossed out the words, animal form fist, and changed it to, shapeshifting technique. It's now a shapeshifting technique. It was Yang Xuanling's first time meeting someone who named things so casually. When you have worked long enough, you truly get to meet all kinds of people. Yang Xuanling slowly turned the page and analyzed every single word, flying into a rage. "This is just animal form fist. How could that be?" Lu Yang was nonplussed. "This is definitely a shapeshifting technique. Let me demonstrate it to you." Lu Yang delivered a set of animal form fist on the spot, turning from Man Ji-yu into Meng Jingzhou, then into the tiger demon, his strikes imposing and looking to be radiating with immense might. Yang Xuanling stared at him wide-eyed for a long while, utterly baffled by how Lu Yang had transformed. He's indeed using animal form fist. The process matches exactly with what is written in the book. He also didn't secretly use any other spells. How much should this be valued at? Yang Xuanling stroked his beard, appearing to have understood everything. "Your shapeshifting technique is indeed interesting. It would be a waste to sell it as a regular item on display outside. Why don't we take this shapeshifting technique book to the auction? There's one happening in a bit." "That works." At the auction site, Lu Yang spotted an old acquaintance. It was none other than Kai Zulong, who had mastered his wondrous stone-spitting technique. Kai Zulong didn't disguise himself. True to his previous self-introduction, he was flamboyant and hated pretense. With his notable cultivation in the whole of Yanjiang Commandery, it was not surprising that he didn't see the need for disguise. A person in black robes sat beside Kai Zulong, someone who Lu Yang guessed was the killer, Shen Jinyi. Lu Yang decided to sit beside Kai Zulong. When the latter saw the childish tofu mask, he snorted in contempt. For some reason, he felt a surge of anger coursing through him at the sight of the other party. The well-dressed auctioneer stepped onto the stage. From his resonant and clear voice, which didn't rely on cultivation, it was evident that he had been professionally trained. "Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming here to support us. Without further ado, let's get started. The first item for auction today is 3 foundation establishment pills." At his words, the entire venue stirred restlessly. They hadn't expected the auction to kick off with such a priority item. Many of those attending the auction were at the intermediate or advanced Qi training stages. The basic Qi training cultivators were aware of their limited finances and wouldn't attend the auction. Even foundation establishment cultivators felt tempted. After all, whose family didn't have a junior at the Qi training stage? Though Lu Yang was apparently not one of them. After musing for a bit, he realized that out of the people he knew, his cultivation was the lowest. When the ancient forebears forged a new path of cultivation, they naturally didn't rely on external objects. However, breaking through to the foundation establishment stage by themselves posed enormous risks. Countless people had perished in the process. Later, someone developed foundation establishment pills that not only enhanced the efficiency of hitting the foundation establishment stage but also ensured that failures wouldn't leave behind hidden potential dangers or cause one's cultivation to regress. Even Lan Ting had taken foundation establishment pills when she was trying to break through to the foundation establishment stage. She transmitted an auditory message, "Did all of you use foundation establishment pills?" Lu Yang shook his head. "Our philosophy on taking pills is quite advanced. When one is trying to break through to the foundation establishment stage, they would directly ingest the raw materials for the foundation establishment pill, using their own bodies as pill furnaces to refine the raw materials such that the medicinal effects can be thoroughly absorbed into the meridians. Our research has shown that this method yields the highest absorption efficiency." When 7th Elder of the Pill Cauldron Peak was young, he had tried to break through to the foundation establishment stage 100 times to arrive at this conclusion, so the data is absolutely reliable. At the time, 7th Elder was even conferred the title of Strongest Foundation Establishment Cultivator. However, due to his overly solid foundation, he later faced excruciating pain during his golden core formation process, as if he had gallstones. Lan Ting. While the two were conversing, the 3 foundation establishment pills had already been auctioned off. Next up for auction is a shapeshifting technique. The auctioneer presented the book Lu Yang had just submitted. Lu Yang softly exclaimed, muttering to himself just loud enough for Kai Zulong to hear, "Could this be that legendary book which hides?" Despite originally showing no interest in the book, Kai Zulong perked up at that moment. Chapter 95. How could there be a spy from the righteous path in the everlasting creed? A wave of sighs swept through the audience. Although shapeshifting techniques were hard to pick up, they were very common and had no auction value at all. There were a few exceptions who didn't sigh. One example was Lu Yang. Another example was Kai Zulong. The auctioneer continued introducing the item. "This is not a book on an ordinary shapeshifting technique. During the transformation process, one can also make an offense. If you use this shapeshifting technique in a battle, I believe it could produce unexpected results." Only then did the crowd become slightly more interested, though not by much. After all, who would use a shapeshifting technique in the middle of battle? The auctioneer reminded, "Something to note is that this shapeshifting technique is extremely difficult to master." Even master appraiser Yang Xuanling remarked that while this book appears nondescript on the surface, it is far more complex than what meets the eye. Lu Yang continued to mutter to himself just loud enough for Kai Zulong to hear, "As I thought, this book seems too similar to that legendary book." As Meng Jingzhou was seated beside him, he heard Lu Yang murmuring to himself and hastily whispered, "Shut up. You can't say things like that out loud. When can you break the habit of muttering to yourself?" Lu Yang appeared to be visibly startled as he immediately closed his mouth and fixed his gaze on the shapeshifting technique on stage. Kai Zulong observed Lu Yang from the corner of his eye, growing more certain of his suspicions. The starting bid is 100 spirit stones. The price was far below that of a typical shapeshifting technique, indicating that even the merchant guild was likely unsure about the value of animal form fist. 110. Someone quickly placed a bid. To them, this little bit of spirit stones probably meant nothing to them, and it wouldn't hurt to buy something unusual out of novelty. 120. Kai Zulong lazily called out. 140. 180. 200. The price of animal form fist soared rapidly. 800. Lu Yang shouted. Meng Jingzhou hurriedly held Lu Yang's hand down. Why are you bidding so high? Are you afraid that people won't notice you? I was just afraid that someone else would win it. 800 spirit stones might not be a considerable sum for a foundation establishment cultivator, but it was not the same for chi training cultivators. 1000. A voice rang out from beside Lu Yang. Lu Yang stared at Kai Zulong in shock, as if he couldn't understand why the other party was competing with him for the transformation technique book. It's clearly just a technique that appears to have some special traits. Could the other party also have discerned something? But how did he figure it out? Lu Yang beat himself up. Could he have heard me muttering to myself just now? Lu Yang whispered to Kai Zulong, fellow Taoist, this book seems to be one that has been long lost in my family. Could you let me have it? I will definitely reward you generously after the auction. Kai Zulong snickered. Long lost. Only ghosts would believe you. There are definitely ancient secrets hidden in this book. Shen Jinyi wanted to say something to persuade him but decided to stay silent upon seeing Kai Zulong's firm stance. Since the negotiations didn't seem to work, Lu Yang decided to raise his bid, saying, 1,200 low-grade spirit stones. 2,000. Kai Zulong didn't even bat an eyelid. With how the other party is bidding so timidly, he's definitely not at the foundation establishment stage. Lu Yang went all in, 2,300 low-grade spirit stones. 3,000. Kai Zulong remained as nonchalant as ever. Lu Yang turned to Meng Jingzhou. Lend me 1,000 spirit stones. I promise I'll pay you back next year. All right, Meng Jingzhou readily agreed. 3,300 low-grade spirit stones. 4,000. Lu Yang continued to borrow money, but his efforts were futile in the face of Kai Zulong's wealth. In the end, Kai Zulong won the shapeshifting technique book with an astonishing bid of 8,000 spirit stones, while Lu Yang shed hidden tears of joy at having earned 8,000 spirit stones. It was a win-win situation for both, leaving everyone satisfied. After the auction ended, Lu Yang and the others had just arrived at the foot of a desolate mountain when they were blocked by Kai Zulong and Shen Jinyi. What are you trying to do? The corners of Kai Zulong's mouth twisted into a cruel smile. What do you think I want to do? Don't play dumb with me, kid. No one has ever fooled me before. Kai Zulong took out the copy of Lu's style shapeshifting technique and released his aura waves of a foundation establishment cultivator. Tell me, what ancient secret is hidden in this book? Speak the truth, and I'll spare your lives. If you dare lie, don't blame me for being ruthless. That said, Kai Zulong had no intention of letting the four of them go. The fewer the people who know about this, the better. Besides, this girl is gorgeous, I must play with her before killing her. Since these four people can't even fork out a few thousand spirit stones, they must be at the chi training stage, and chi training cultivators stand no chance before me. Lu Yang sighed. I remember that branch leader Chu reminded me to stir up more trouble during the Spring Harvest Festival. Could branch leader Chu have already foreseen today's situation and was hinting to me to kill Kai Zulong and Shen Jinyi? Nothing escapes branch leader Chu's masterful strategy. Lu Yang removed his mask, revealing his true appearance. Kai Zulong, we don't have to make things so tense between us, right? Then, he stealthily took out a recording orb. Lu Yang, die. Kai Zulong burst into anger, instantly realizing that Lu Yang had been toying with him. Everything that happened at the auction was a play staged for me. There must be some misunderstandings between us. Some vile person is surely trying to sow discord. How about this, let's go to branch leader Chu and clear things up. Even if you don't believe me, you should at least trust branch leader Chu, right? At the mention of branch leader Chu, it only further incurred Kai Zulong's wrath. How dare you bring up branch leader Chu? You have no face to do that. He must have been hoodwinked by you to let you become an administrator. What vile person are you talking about? You are the vile person. Me, a vile person. Don't talk nonsense. Lu Yang desperately tried to defend himself. Kai Zulong sneered. Don't think I don't know that you mother f***cker have done all those dirty deeds. In front of branch leader Chu, you pretend to be a goody two-shoes and a yes man, but ever since you joined the Creed, everything you've done has been to sabotage us. I suspect you're a spy sent by the righteous path." Naturally, Kai Zulong had uttered those words in a fit of anger. If he had really thought that Lu Yang was a spy from the righteous path, he would have been secretly monitoring Lu Yang for evidence a long time ago. Lu Yang let out a long sigh and put away the recording orb. Pulling out his Qingfeng sword, he reluctantly said, "In that case, it seems like the only option left for us is to fight." Kai Zulong and Shen Jinyi curled their lips in contempt as they readied their weapons. Meng Jingzhou, Man Ji Yu, and Lan Ting did the same. The battle commenced. Lu Yang brought the news of Kai Zulong's and Shen Jinyi's demise to branch leader Chu. No matter how strong Kai Zulong and Shen Jinyi were, there was no way they could survive against 4 disciples from the immortal sects. It was a one-sided crushing defeat. The two died so gruesomely that Lan Ting lost her appetite. As Lu Yang presented the recording orb, he explained to branch leader Chu, "You know Kai Zulong's temper, he kills at the slightest disagreement. I was worried that something like this would happen, so I prepared the recording orb in advance, lest he comes to you complaining about his grievances and that I am mistreating him. But it looks like he wouldn't be able to do that now. I'm not sure what went wrong with the recording orb, it recorded intermittently. Fortunately, it can still roughly reflect the situation at that time. Please take a look." Sitting in his jade chair, branch leader Chu picked up the recording orb and watched the scenes unfold. "Kai Zulong, we don't have to make things so tense between us, right?" Lu Yang tried his best to salvage the relationship between the two of them. Lu Yang, die. Clearly, Kai Zulong did not appreciate the gesture. "There must be some misunderstandings between us. Some vile person is surely trying to sow discord. How about this, let's go to branch leader Chu and clear things up. Even if you don't believe me, you should at least trust branch leader Chu, right? Branch leader Chu, let you become an administrator, the vile person." "A vile person? Don't talk nonsense." Lu Yang tried to convince him with logic. "Don't think I don't know, Mother F***cker, done all those dirty deeds." Branch leader Chu, pretend to be a goody two-shoes and a yes man, joined the Creed, everything has been to sabotage us. I suspect, a spy sent by the righteous path. The recording ended here, leaving branch leader Chu gnashing his teeth. Lu Yang spoke up indignantly, "Branch leader, even if we are from the diabolic path and have our share of rivalries and instances of fury, I know to repay kindness. You've treated me well, so when I saw Kai Zulong framing you and Shen Jinyi not attempting to stop him, rage swelled in my heart. Overwhelmed by anger, I got Meng Jingzhou and the others to kill him together. It wasn't convenient to record during the fight, so I put away the recording orb." Lu Yang naturally wouldn't let branch leader Chu see their fighting styles. Branch leader Chu commended him loudly, his voice laced with ire toward Kai Zulong, "Well done killing them. Those two bastards deserve to die." Branch leader Chu was aware of Kai Zulong's dissatisfaction toward him, but on the account that Kai Zulong was a talent, he had called him over to offer him some advice. At the time, Kai Zulong had even pledged loyalty, claiming that he would do better than Lu Yang. But now, it seems like Kai Zulong still harbored resentment inside his heart. To think he even made such absurd statements like accusing me of being a spy from the righteous path. How could there be a spy from the righteous path in the everlasting creed? Lu Yang, you've done me a great service by eliminating 2 major threats. I'll make sure to put in a good word for you when the inspecting officer gets here. Chapter 96, Long Vacation. I have received a message from the inspecting officer. He said that he had long heard of the Spring Harvest Festival and has brought forward his agenda to arrive in Yanjiang Commandery during the festival. You need to be mentally prepared, don't be timid in front of the inspecting officer. Understood. When Lu Yang was leaving the Yanjiang branch, he saw other administrators like Wang He and Bai Zifeng walking in his direction. They nodded at him slightly in greeting. This newly promoted administrator, Lu Yang, is branch leader Chu's favorite, we mustn't offend him. Wang He and the others had worked in the branch for several decades and were thus privy to certain matters. They speculated that branch leader Chu had directly appointed Lu Yang and the other two because of their impressive performance during the selection trials, especially Lu Yang, who might have received the highest appraisal among the 3. Wang Yi muttered, the branch leader has always been a materialistic person who doesn't rise early if there are no profits to be gained. It's very likely that he is aware that Lu Yang will rise to greatness in the future, so he wishes to build a good relationship with Lu Yang before his prominence to attain better chances of promotion. They knew that the branch leader's biggest ambition was to rise in rank to become the branch leader in an economically prosperous region. Hence, he placed particular significance on the upcoming visit by the inspecting officer. Perhaps the reason for summoning us this time is related to the inspecting officer. Speaking of which, the branch leader still lacks a criterion for promotion, right? Has he reached the nascent soul stage? Not only was one's faith in the everlasting immortal an important metric for promotion, the everlasting creed also paid attention to one's cultivation. Who knows? Maybe he has already long reached the stage but simply didn't tell us. He never explains to us what he does, and we also don't know the intentions behind his actions. Branch leader Chu's style reflected the whole diabolic creed style, steeped in distrust. Although branch leader Chu seemed to trust Lu Yang, in reality, he had never revealed any information about himself to Lu Yang. Lu Yang hardly knew anything about branch leader Chu. The spring harvest festival arrived, and the barbecue shop's customer traffic peaked. Many foreign merchants had already discovered business opportunities with the barbecue shop and proposed to Lu Yang to open branches. Lu Yang would provide the recipe, while they would provide the funds. Without any exception, Lu Yang shooed them away with a stormy expression. There were also cultivators who wanted to dine and dash, but when they saw the 3 silk banners hanging on the wall, they swallowed their unrealistic ideas and paid up obediently. With the help of the automatic barbecue array, the 2 tiger henchman ghosts had more time to skewer. This allowed the barbecue shop to operate smoothly despite receiving more customers than usual. One more time barbecue shop, yes, it's this one. My aunt told me that the food here is especially delicious and that if I come to Yanjiang Commandery, I must try it at least once. Look, this shop is also running a promotion. With every purchase in our shop, you can collect a voucher and receive a 10% discount at the tofu shop on Chinmen Street. Spend 1 silver to participate in the spin to win wheel once, chances can be accumulated with no upper limit. Prizes are limited and available on a first-come first-served basis. Come on, let's try it. The 2 lined up at the back of the snaking queue, unsure how long they had to wait. At the entrance of the barbecue shop, Meng Jingzhou was extremely busy working on the spin-to-win wheel. The lucky wheel read, 1 more time, 3rd-tier prize, 2nd-tier prize, 1st-tier prize, and special prize. Congratulations to this customer for winning the 2nd-tier prize. You can enjoy 60% off your current bill. Let us give him a round of applause. Meng Jingzhou clapped enthusiastically, looking even more jubilant than the prize winner. A 1st-tier prize has appeared. This customer's entire bill is on the house. Special prize. Someone actually won the special prize. The customer was surprised to have won the special prize and asked gleefully, "What is the special prize?" Meng Jingzhou held the customer's hand and ardently said, "Congratulations, you've won a chance to experience being a waiter at our shop. Others have to pay for the experience and joy of working as a waiter here, but you're very lucky. You get to experience it for free. Considering that the smoky and scorching backyard may be an unpleasant environment for you, our professional staff will carry the skewers to the entrance of the backyard for you so that you won't have to go to the backyard." Meng Jingzhou had an expression that said, "No need to thank us for our thoughtfulness." The customer asked, "Can I exchange this for the 1st-tier prize?" No. The customer rejected the special prize. Up until now, Meng Jingzhou still hadn't successfully duped anyone into accepting the special prize, but he enjoyed the process of trying to dupe others. Inside the barbecue shop, Lu Yang carried a tray as he weaved in and out among the customers. His steps were light and his movements agile. With his stable lower body, the tray with the skewers remained steady and upright, never bumping into customers, as if he could traverse through a garden of flowers without touching a single leaf. After more than a month of training as a waiter, his footwork had improved by a large margin. "Advisor Ma, Registrar Kai, how's the food?" Lu Yang greeted the 2 customers with a smile. The 2 customers were commandery officials who often came here for some skewers and drinks. "Delicious as ever. Shop owner Lu, if you ask me, your skills are wasted here, you should open shops in larger commanderies. I guarantee that you'd make more than you do now. Geez, stop talking nonsense. Didn't you hear that shop owner Lu isn't even opening a branch? It's clear that he opened the shop out of interest and not in it for the money. Lu Yang could only smile apologetically. Hope the both of you enjoy the Spring Harvest Festival. The two were clearly tipsy, their cheeks flushed red. Advisor Ma poured out all his grievances. Just speaking of the Spring Harvest Festival makes me angry. It was originally a 7-day holiday, finally a long vacation, but I don't know whose brilliant idea it was to cut it down to just 3 days. What can you even do in 3 days? They even have the nerve to palliate it by calling it a short long vacation. Just listen to that. Does it even make sense? When the word short is added before long vacation, does it still count as a long vacation? I wish whoever came up with this term, short longevity. Registrar Kai hurriedly covered Advisor Ma's mouth. You can't casually say things like that. You came late, so it's understandable that you don't know, but this was Commandery Governor Li's idea. Advisor Ma scoffed. So it's him. Not much ability but plenty of ideas. Registrar Kai was more informed and shared. Keep your voice down. You can't speak ill of Commandery Governor Li now. I heard that he has found a path for himself and apprehended 3 vicious diabolic cultivators in the Commandery. With such a great meritorious achievement, he is bound for promotion soon. Chief Constable Fang Qingyan will be taking over his position. Advisor Ma's mouth twitched in disdain for Commandery Governor Li. In any case, Commandery Governor Li wouldn't care about a small fry like me. A few days ago, a coworker was complaining to me that Commandery Governor Li randomly issued an order for the Yamen bailiffs to work overtime in the wee hours, demanding that all small flags be set up in one night with not a single mistake in their positions. He even put on an act by personally acting as the supervisor to oversee them. He doesn't need sleep as a golden core cultivator, but others do. Many of the Yamen bailiffs fell asleep while working. Lu Yang poured wine for the two. I'll be attending to other matters. Go ahead, shop owner Lu, you don't need to worry about us. On the first night of the Spring Harvest Festival, the 4 people and 2 ghosts were completely drained. Before sleeping, Man Ji Yu recalled something. If I'm not wrong, ghosts don't need to sleep. Should we arrange work for them at night too? Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 97, Notch the boat to find what again? Lanting was originally used to sitting in a meditative state instead of sleeping at night, but ever since she joined the barbecue shop, she had developed the good habit of sleeping at night. When the 4 of them woke up, they felt rejuvenated, and this was partially due to the array set up by Lanting. Let's go. I still haven't had enough fun. Meng Jingzhou was the most energetic, trying to wake Lu Yang up as if he were chasing a pig. Lu Yang kicked Meng Jingzhou before reluctantly getting out of bed. Man Ji Yu had risen the earliest and had already gone to the market to stock up. He prepared a pot of dough drop soup, cracked in 4 eggs, and added a few drops of sesame oil, filling the entire hall with a fragrant aroma. Lu Yang liked vinegar, so he added a small spoonful of vinegar to his soup. After the 4 of them finished their meal, they set off, feeling invigorated. It was still somewhat early, but the streets were already teeming with tourists. Lu Yang heard that the inns were long fully booked, and many people chose to stay in guest houses. People's faces were wreathed in jovial smiles. Children wore tofu masks of a similar design to Lu Yang's, holding large pinwheels as they jumped about, while parents grabbed their children's hands tightly, fearing that they might get lost. It's as lively as a temple fair. Have you heard? Someone brought a colossal creature from the southern region. It's right by the river. Let's go check it out. Someone shared the news with their companion excitedly. Overhearing their conversation, Meng Jingzhou couldn't contain his curiosity and led the 3 of them to the riverbank to see the colossal creature. The 4 of them arrived at the familiar big stone bridge once again, but the difference was that they stood on it this time. Small flags were planted all along the bridge's sides. Upon seeing the colossal creature, Meng Jingzhou was disappointed. I thought it would be something extraordinary, turns out it's just an elephant. Every year, the banks of the hidden Dragon River were a gathering place for tourists. With someone now showing off an elephant to attract attention, even more curious onlookers had congregated in the area. Lu Yang had certainly seen elephants before. As Meng Jingzhou and Lan Ting came from aristocratic families, they had encountered more strange things than Lu Yang had ever heard of. Since Man Jiyu had lived in the wilderness, he had even hunted and killed elephants. However, most people didn't have similar experiences to the four of them. They were extremely interested in colossal creatures like the elephant. A tourist marveled, "Is this a demon beast? It's so huge, and it even has such a long nose and teeth." The owner of the elephant, a Foundation establishment cultivator, explained, "It is indeed a demon beast, but it's hard to gauge the cultivation level of demon beasts. It should be roughly at the level 6 Qi training stage. However, its size has nothing to do with being a demon beast. This type of living being is called elephant, and they all grow this big upon reaching adulthood." The tourist continued to ask, "How heavy is a huge creature like this?" The elephant's owner involuntarily chuckled. "Who knows? It's not like there's a scale big enough to weigh it." Another tourist suggested, "Since we happen to be right next to the river, we can place the elephant on a large boat and mark the spot where the water level rises to. Afterward, we can load the boat with stones. Once the marked spot touches the water again, we can weigh the stones to find out how heavy the elephant is." The elephant's owner also wanted to know how much his spirit pet weighed and readily agreed. Under the owner's command, the elephant was chased onto a boat. However, it was too heavy for the boat in shallow water, so the owner paddled the boat to the river's center and took out a small knife, notching the spot where the boat contacted the water surface. Just as the owner was about to paddle back, the elephant happened to lift its head and spotted Man Jiyu, getting startled instantly. Demon beasts were highly sensitive to aura waves. Since the ancient barbarian tribe often hunted elephants in the wilderness, their intrepid killing intent flowed through their bloodline. Although the elephant didn't understand the deeper reason, it couldn't help but feel a chill creep into its heart. This stemmed from a bloodline suppression. In a frenzy, the elephant fell into the water with a splash, sinking straight to the bottom. The people by the banks gasped in confusion, urging the elephant's owner to quickly save the elephant. To their surprise, the elephant's owner calmly marked the spot where the elephant had fallen. "This is where the elephant fell into the water." The crowd was perplexed, but the elephant's owner didn't bother explaining. When he was about to reach the bank, he pointed at the mark and shouted, "My elephant fell from here, and it's still right here." Everyone burst into laughter, thinking that he was joking. Suddenly, the river churned, and a whirlpool appeared. The elephant flew out from beneath the mark, flapping its large ears. It was an endemic species limited to the southern region, the giant flying elephant. Witnessing the whole scene unfold before him, Man Jiyu furrowed his brow before hammering his palm in realization. "I remember now. We learned this idiom in class. This is called, notch the boat to find the elephant." 1. I now have a profound understanding of this idiom. Lu Yang, what on earth did you learn in class? Meng Jingzhou laughed. "I remember when we first found the first lifespan reversal talisman under the bridge, I was really shocked to learn that such a thing existed. Fortunately, we had already reported it." Lu Yang was about to join in on Meng Jingzhou's joke when the small flag before him suddenly caught his attention. The smile faded from his visage, as if he had recalled something. He pulled the flag out, frowning as he examined it under the sunlight. Upon witnessing how the small flag appeared under sunlight, a chill seized his heart. "What's wrong?" Meng Jingzhou noticed something off with Lu Yang when he didn't hear Lu Yang tease him back for a long time. Lu Yang's expression grew grave as he pointed at a faintly indiscernible pattern on the small flag. "Look at this pattern. What does it remind you of?" "The lifespan reversal talisman." Lan Ting was the first to react as she was the most familiar with the pattern. Meng Jingzhou widened his eyes. The pattern on the small flag was almost indistinct, it was hardly perceptible without direct sunlight. Even if someone could see it, tourists would most likely think of it as a special feature of the Spring Harvest Festival. How many people would know what the symbol of the lifespan reversal talisman looks like? Don't panic. Maybe the lifespan reversal array hasn't been completely set up yet. Meng Jingzhou convinced himself to remain composed. Lu Yang calmly analyzed, "That's impossible. Don't forget that it's not just one or two of these small flags, the whole Yanjiang commandery is planted with such flags. Who could have thought that the small flags with the lifespan reversal talisman's design are hidden among the ordinary flags?" Lu Yang continued, in other words, the lifespan reversal array is already completed and is blatantly displayed in front of everyone, but no one has noticed it yet. Then why hasn't the array been activated? Meng Jingzhou recalled that apart from arranging lifespan reversal talismans to form the lifespan reversal array, one other condition was a blood sacrifice. It's a cinch for the culprit to kill a few people. After all, he dares to even set up the array. What is he waiting for? Lu Yang coldly stated, he is waiting for people. There aren't enough people at the Spring Harvest Festival yet, countless more are currently heading toward Yanjiang Commandery. The lifespan reversal array robs the lifespans of mortals, converting them into cultivation for the one who set up the array. The more mortals it plunders from, the greater the boost in cultivation. Meng Jingzhou also made the link. According to tradition, on the second night of the Spring Harvest Festival, people would gather to sing on the streets, feast by the river, and conduct performances. Today was the second day of the Spring Harvest Festival. Chapter 98, Fail-Safe Plan. As more and more people congregated on the big stone bridge, Lu Yang suggested that they leave the place first and find a more secluded spot. When the four arrived in the remote mountain forest, Lu Yang took out the map of Yanjiang Commandery which marked the nodes of the lifespan reversal array they had previously deduced. The nodes of the lifespan reversal array should still be in the same position. Before we proceed, I would like to confirm something. Lan Ting, when you mentioned blood sacrifice, do you mean killing people at the nodes or offering cultivators, essence blood to activate the array? Lan Ting was confused by Lu Yang's question. Both methods are possible, but the former would usually be opted for since it only requires the killing of mortals. If too much of a cultivator's essence blood is used, it would affect their cultivation and be detrimental to their future training. Lu Yang pondered for a bit. Then the person who set up the array would likely use the second method. The other three were bewildered. They believed that the person who set up the array could only be a diabolic cultivator. For a diabolic cultivator, killing people would naturally be much more convenient than using essence blood. Lu Yang challenged, who do you think has such influential power to hide the lifespan reversal talismans within the small flags and deliberately have them completely set up overnight to benefit from the cover of the night since no one would be suspicious even if someone got sleepy? The answer instantly clicked in Meng Jingzhou's mind. Someone from the authorities, and of high rank at that. Lu Yang nodded. That's right, or to be more specific, it's the commandery governor. What? The color drained from Mangu's and Lan Ting's faces, while Meng Jingzhou was not that taken aback, having already made similar speculations. Back when they just entered Yanjiang Commandery, Meng Jingzhou had already mentioned that it wasn't uncommon for the authorities and Diabolic Path to collude with each other. Last night, I overheard people from the authorities saying that Commandery Governor Li personally oversaw the placement of the small flags, demanding that there must be no mistakes with their positions. Would something like this really require the Commandery Governor's personal supervision? Even the excuse that he was meticulous and dedicated to the people is too far-fetched. This can only mean that Commandery Governor Li had made use of these small flags to set up a lifespan reversal array that covers the entire commandery. Man Ji-yu suddenly realized how dark the world truly was. That is to say that the spy planted by the Yanjiang branch in Yanjiang Commandery is Commandery Governor Li. With his cultivation and position, the term, collaboration, would be more apt to describe their relationship, right? Lu Yang shook his head. He's neither a spy nor a collaboration partner. I suspect that Commandery Governor Li and Branch Leader Chu are the same person. I don't have any direct evidence, but there are 2 points of suspicion. First, Branch Leader Chu always summons us at night. I checked with the other administrators, and they said that it's not the case in the other branches. Second, both Branch Leader Chu and Commandery Governor Li are about to be promoted, and the timings are nearly identical. Man Ji-yu drew in a breath of cold air. The world is even darker than I had thought. If Branch Leader Chu and Commandery Governor Li are the same person, doesn't that mean he is taking advantage of both the righteous and diabolic paths? Of course, they might still be 2 different people. Ultimately, this is just speculation. But regardless of which possibility it is, the way to activate the lifespan reversal array is definitely not killing mortals. Man Ji-yu still hadn't fully wrapped his head around it, so Meng Jingzhou explained, Commandery Governor Li is looking forward to his promotion. If a mass slaughter goes rampant during the Spring Harvest Festival, do you think he'll still get that promotion? Even if he is connected to the higher-ups, they still can't blatantly promote him under such circumstances. Besides, with his position of Commandery Governor, how hard would it be for him to obtain essence blood from cultivators? He could easily pick a few cultivators from the prison. Lan Ting still had some questions. Regarding Commandery Governor Li and One Zhong Red setting up the lifespan reversal array, is it a coincidence, or are they related? I believe they are closely related, Lu Yang postulated. After figuring out the relationship between branch leader Chu and Commandery Governor Li, Lu Yang gained new perspectives on many matters. Capturing 3 Foundation establishment diabolic cultivators alone is clearly an immense political achievement for Commandery Governor Li. If there is no diabolic branch, a small commandery wouldn't have that many Foundation establishment diabolic cultivators. It would essentially be equivalent to wiping out the leaders of the diabolic cultivators in a commandery. After the lifespan reversal array is activated, things might not be discernible on the surface, but over time, people will definitely start to notice something amiss. If One Zhong Red hadn't acted first, the authorities would have spared no efforts in tracking down the culprit. Had that been the case, Yanzhong Branch and Commandery Governor Li would have been at risk of getting exposed. Commandery Governor Li was clever enough to arrange for One Zhong Red's role. With One Zhong Red involved with setting up the lifespan reversal array first, even if Commandery Governor Li activates the array and reduces the lifespan of the mortals, the authorities would only place their sights on One Zhong Red. Man Ji Yu was astounded. But One Zhong Red didn't succeed. Lu Yang snickered. Not succeeding is only One Zhong Red's side of the story. Maybe the array has been activated, but due to One Zhong Red's improper handling, only reducing lifespans without boosting one's cultivation is highly probable. After all, it is an unfamiliar array, any accident can happen. Man Ji Yu still couldn't grasp the full situation. But One Zhong Red's 2 companions could have also verified whether the setup was successful. Lu Yang objected, companions. Since when did diabolic cultivators have companions? They're just mutually exploiting one another. It's totally reasonable for One Zhong Red to not have told those 2 people the truth. With such an obvious suspect readily available, who else could they suspect? Besides, based on One Zhong Red's lengthy list of crimes, the death penalty is inevitable. By the time the authorities realize that the lifespan reversal array has been activated, One Zhong Red might already have been sentenced to death. Who would still suspect Commandery Governor Li when there is a scapegoat like One Zhong Red around? Meng Jingzhou and Lan Ting nodded repeatedly at Lu Yang's viewpoint. Lu Yang questioned again, also, are there 7 nodes that require a blood sacrifice? Lan Ting looked at Lu Yang in astonishment and nodded. How did Lu Yang know that? Didn't he say that he doesn't understand arrays? This content is taken from F.E.E.M.O.V.com. When I left last night, I encountered 7 administrators. Branch leader Chu had summoned them on short notice, probably because of some mission. I figured that it was to assign them the task of carrying the essence blood to the nodes and waiting for the right moment. How about you tell us more about the lifespan reversal array? Lan Ting didn't hesitate and circled 7 points on the map of Yanzhong Commandery. These 7 places are the key nodes for activation. They are located near scenic spots in Yanzhong Commandery, and the array's focal point is halfway up Pine Mountain. Using the lifespan reversal array to break through would naturally require a desolate place. Let's remove some of the lifespan reversal talismans first to prevent the array from activating. However, in doing so, it is highly possible that we'll attract the attention of branch leader Chu. Rather than waiting for him to come after us, we should set an ambush beforehand and catch him off guard, Lu Yang proposed. As Lu Yang had been worried that they might have to fight branch leader Chu, he had purposely not left their combat styles recorded by the recording orb. The other 3 felt uneasy. Branch leader Chu was at the Golden Core stage. When the time came, it would be a fight to the death. Can we report this to the authorities? Inform Fang Qingyan about this. Man Ji Yu asked. Lu Yang shook his head. Once Fang Qingyan finds out about the arrays on the small flags, he'll definitely link it to Commandery Governor Li, and if Commandery Governor Li gets caught, our identities as members of the Diabolic Creed will also be exposed. Lan Ting hesitatingly said, but with just the four of us against a golden core cultivator, I'm afraid it'll be hard to defeat the other party. On the contrary, Lu Yang was pretty confident. Not to worry. Let's just prepare ourselves to the fullest. If the worst-case scenario happens, I still have a fail-safe plan. What is it? Big senior sister animal form fist. When Meng Jingzhou and Man Jiyu heard what he said, their expressions changed drastically. Lan Ting didn't understand their extreme reactions. What is big senior sister animal form fist? Lu Yang proudly replied, it's the ultimate technique of the Lu-style animal form fist. Lan Ting nodded, despite not truly understanding. Chapter 99, The Most Powerful Weapon from the Merchant Guild. Fang Qingyan yawned out of sheer boredom. It was less than 1 hour until the grand festivities of the Spring Harvest Festival. Fortunately, they had made thorough preparations, including various kinds of contingency plans, and so far, there hadn't been any unexpected incidents. When Fang Qingyan heard about an elephant falling into the water and flying out again, he dispatched someone to issue a warning. Flying without authorization was not permitted in the commandery as it was too much of a hazard. Furthermore, demon beasts entering the commandery needed to be put on record, so the elephant's owner had to comply in taking his elephant for registration. Such trivial matters took up Fang Qingyan's entire day. I hope nothing goes wrong tonight. I hope no one lights a bonfire and causes a forest fire. I hope there are no stampedes from watching performances. I hope no one gets jealous and starts a street fight. Fang Qingyan rambled on, listing all the incidents that had occurred in previous years. Qingyan, I'll be heading off first. Commandery Governor Li notified Fang Qingyan before leaving. Take care, Fang Qingyan replied with greater respect than usual as he had heard that there would be no new leaders appearing out of nowhere this time. It's all thanks to Commandery Governor Li's kind words that I'm able to take over his position. I must remember this favor. Commandery Governor Li wasn't obliged to be present during the Spring Harvest Festival, but he did so anyway since it could reflect his diligence and leave a laudable reputation for himself. A good image was something he had always cherished. He discovered that it was easier to get promoted by saying nice things compared to doing actual work. There were also requirements for one's cultivation when it came to promotion. It was an unspoken rule in officialdom. It's soon. Once I rise to the nascent soul stage today, both my statuses as Commandery Governor and Branch Leader will change. At such thoughts, Commandery Governor Li's steps became lighter. He walked into a narrow alley, first changing his face before putting on a mask. That way, even if someone removed the mask, they would think that what lay beneath was his true appearance and wouldn't suspect his identity as Commandery Governor Li. Caution is indispensable when navigating both the righteous and diabolic paths. Based on his talents, he wouldn't have reached the advanced Golden Core stage. However, due to his associating with both the righteous and diabolic paths, he had access to resources far beyond what ordinary people could imagine, which led to his current accomplishments. In the past 10 years, he realized that he had hit a bottleneck and wouldn't be able to progress to the nascent soul stage through ordinary means. In order to advance in both status and cultivation, he thought of the lifespan reversal array. Strange, the inspecting officer should have arrived in Yanjiang Commandery before noon. Why hasn't he shown up yet? Commandery Governor Li, or rather, Branch Leader Chu, was a bit disgruntled at the inspecting officer's tardiness after donning the mask. He had specifically told the inspecting officer to come before noon today because there was a surprise for him. The so-called surprise was inviting the inspecting officer to activate the lifespan reversal array together to have their cultivation enhanced at the same time. Could something have happened? I even specially waited until the optimal time when there's the most number of people to activate the array. Oh well, since he isn't coming, I'll just elevate my own cultivation. Pine Mountain was remote, with trees sprawling in all directions, and the mountain paths were formed from the steps of travelers. People coming to enjoy the Spring Harvest Festival wouldn't bore themselves by venturing to such a place. Branch Leader Chu concealed his aura waves as he walked toward Pine Mountain. The further he went, the fewer tourists he saw. By the time he reached the foot of the mountain, there was already not a single person in sight. Finally, he stopped at a flat zone. The surrounding branches were hung with talismans that were slightly different from ordinary lifespan reversal talismans. They would serve as the array's focal point. He sat cross-legged, adjusting his state as he waited for the moment the array would activate. He had already sent 6 administrators to carry out the tasks with regard to the blood sacrifice. Calculating the time, the right moment was exactly now. Lifespan Reversal Array, activate. Branch Leader Chu raised his hands. With him as the center, silent and invisible power spread outward from the array. When they reached a certain point, however, they halted abruptly. Someone has pulled out the flags. Branch Leader Chu was momentarily dazed, but he quickly regained his senses to understand what had happened. This isn't an ordinary case of a few flags being pulled out by chance. The other party is definitely knowledgeable about the lifespan reversal array, otherwise, they wouldn't have been so precise. Who is it? Someone from the authorities. That doesn't seem right. Nothing from the authorities can escape my attention. Is it a traveler I am not aware of? Or could it be Lu Yang? He has seen the lifespan reversal array before. Lu Yang is an idiosyncratic person. He's very well capable of such a thing. Branch Leader Chu's gaze turned frigid. This is tantamount to severing my path ahead. It's even more painful than killing me. Is that how you view me, Branch Leader Chu? Lu Yang's lazy voice rang out from nearby. Lu Yang. Branch Leader Chu's anger flared up upon seeing Lu Yang. Don't think that just because the Creed leader thinks highly of you means that I can't kill you. It's all too common to have diabolic cultivators dying from accidents. You have given me the perfect reason to do so. Lu Yang pondered for a bit and replied earnestly, didn't you tell me to stir up trouble during the Spring Harvest Festival? I figured that the biggest trouble would be getting rid of the Commandery Governor. Look at what a coincidence it is. I followed the Commandery Governor for several days and ended up finding out that you are the Commandery Governor. I was thinking that it would only be right to carry things through, so I might as well get rid of you at that. Isn't this also our diabolic creed's tradition of disrespecting the superiors? Lu Yang said gleefully. You're courting death. Branch Leader Chu's fury erupted. How could that be? I still want to live forever. You're a mere foundation establishment cultivator, yet you dare to make such audacious statements. Die. Branch Leader Chu struck with his palm, the force so terrifying that it pulverized the trees it touched into powder. Lu Yang swiftly escaped to a distance with shrinking earth. Branch Leader Chu suddenly stomped on the ground with his right foot, sending earthquake-like vibrations through the ground. The earth overturned, and Lu Yang was also hurled out along with it. Shock gripped Lu Yang's heart. So this is the power of an advanced golden core cultivator. He tossed me out with just a kick. Tisk, so hard to deal with. Branch Leader Chu moved like lightning, nimbly closing in on Lu Yang. His hand formed a fist seal with the force of its fist-like gale, bent on hammering Lu Yang to death. Lu Yang held the Qingfeng sword upright in front of himself. As long as Branch Leader Chu landed his hit, the Qingfeng sword would be able to cleave his knuckles. Branch Leader Chu immediately retracted his fist, opting for a kick instead. Having anticipated it, Lu Yang countered with a kick of his own. As the two legs clashed, Lu Yang flew out with the momentum. Branch Leader Chu tried to launch another attack, but he found that he couldn't draw his spirit energy at all, as if it seemed to be shackled. This is similar to the spirit energy disabling array from the prison. As I thought, you understand arrays. Branch Leader Chu glowered at Lu Yang. Although he was unable to manipulate his spirit energy, just his physical body's defense alone would make it challenging for Lu Yang to harm him at all. Lan Ting had temporarily set up the spirit energy disabling array, and Lu Yang's intention had been to lure Branch Leader Chu to this place. Lu Yang grinned and waved goodbye to Branch Leader Chu. Branch Leader Chu scanned his surroundings but found nothing unusual. Suddenly, he raised his head and saw a flying vessel hovering above him. It was the flying vessel Meng Jingzhou had just purchased from the Merchant Guild. As it was now nighttime, it was so dark on Pine Mountain that even shadows were hardly perceptible, otherwise, Branch Leader Chu would have long noticed the shadow he was in. The space above the spirit energy disabling array similarly forbade the use of spirit energy, and the flying vessel lost its power. As it plummeted rapidly, Meng Jingzhou jumped down with a parachute. Due to Branch Leader Chu's inability to use spirit energy, his speed was limited and he would be unable to evade the flying vessel. On the contrary, Lu Yang had calculated the appropriate distance and hid far away. The flying vessel fell from a low altitude like a meteor, heading straight for Branch Leader Chu. Boom! As it crashed to the ground, it kicked up dust everywhere and produced a deafening rumbling sound as the whole Pine Mountain shook. There seemed to also be explosives inside the flying vessel, which detonated upon impact. Pillars of flame soared into the sky with an ear-splitting explosion. Lu Yang gave Meng Jingzhou a thumbs up. It's great to have money, you can buy a flying vessel whenever you want. Meng Jingzhou also gave him a thumbs up. If not for them only having one flying vessel available, I would have bought several more. Any treasure from the merchant guild was no match for the force of a flying vessel crashing down directly. Just as Fang Qingyan was feeling nostalgic about the tranquility of time passing by, he witnessed a flying vessel plunging into the ground and was frightened into nearly having a heart attack. Are you messing with me? Chapter 100. This is the surprise. At the crash site of the flying vessel, smoke and dust permeated the air. Branch Leader Chu's mask had shattered, and he couldn't even maintain his shapeshifting technique, revealing his real appearance, which was none other than Commandery Governor Li's. His left arm was dripping with blood and trembling uncontrollably. It was clearly useless now. Meng Jingzhou landed, dissatisfied with the outcome. If only we had another flying vessel. Branch Leader Chu heaved in a deep breath of air, wanting to make a few relevant remarks, but he suddenly coughed violently, and wisps of blood crawled to the corners of his eyes. This smoke is poisonous. He hurriedly held his breath, rage swelling his heart. Truly the collaboration between the innate diabolic spawn and descended Dao diabolic. First, they trapped me with the spirit energy disabling array, then crashed a flying vessel filled with explosives sufficient to open a mine onto me, and even the smoke after the explosion was poisonous. You two are like old female pigs wearing bras, scheme after scheme. 1. Branch Leader Chu had originally suspected that Lu Yang was a spy sent by the Righteous Path, prompting the latter to destroy the lifespan reversal array because it harmed others at the expense of personal gain. He thought that the Creed leader had misjudged Lu Yang. But seeing this intricate chain of schemes now, I wouldn't believe it even if Lu Yang claims to be a spy from the Righteous Path. As the flying vessel had damaged the spirit energy disabling array, Branch Leader Chu regained his spirit energy. However, he now had to divert part of his spirit energy to suppress the poison seeping into his body. Under normal circumstances, he would have been able to expel the toxins in just a few breaths, but Lu Yang and Meng Jingzhou certainly weren't giving him the chance. Meng Jingzhou activated his cultivation technique, turning his body into a bronze color, becoming like a ferocious tiger with a roar that reverberated through the forest. Quote, Heaven shaking 6 forms. This was Third Elder's unique art, though Meng Jingzhou had only scratched its surface. His qi and blood surged, and every punch he hurled was brimming with bursts of force. Each strike lined up seamlessly with the previous one, waves of power booming repeatedly, as all of it greeted Branch Leader Chu's face. Despite Branch Leader Chu's injuries, he was at the advanced Golden Core stage, after all. With just one hand, he blocked both of Meng Jingzhou's fists. On the other hand, Lu Yang moved like an assassin while holding his Qingfeng sword, appearing behind Branch Leader Chu without a sound. However, Branch Leader Chu's reactions were incredibly sharp. Deftly kicking with his right foot, he sent Lu Yang flying again. Man Ji Yu appeared in the direction Lu Yang was flung and grabbed his legs, spinning on the spot before hurling him back. Lu Yang was like a sharp sword, cutting through the air with his Qingfeng sword and thrusting it toward Branch Leader Chu's neck. Branch Leader Chu swatted Meng Jingzhou away with one palm and nimbly turned around, catching the unstoppable Qingfeng sword between his elbow and knee. The trace of the ancient barbarian bloodline in Man Ji Yu was stimulated, causing his body to grow a full size larger. His muscles and bones cracked with strength and his flesh became coarse. He charged forward like a savage elephant that was ready to topple the mountains and overturn the seas. Branch Leader Chu sneered, "No matter how strong you are, do you honestly think you can surpass me, an advanced Golden Core cultivator?" To his surprise, when Man Ji Yu was about to collide into Branch Leader Chu, Man Ji Yu flipped his palm, shooting out several sharp bamboo skewers toward Branch Leader Chu's eyes. Branch Leader Chu immediately closed his eyes and dodged the bamboo skewers. When another group of bamboo skewers emerged behind him, Branch Leader Chu could hear them. He channeled the power of his golden core and formed a golden membrane on the surface of his body, blocking out the ambush from the bamboo skewers. Turning around, He saw that the bamboo skewers hadn't been thrown by anyone, they had been fired automatically by an array. It was none other than the automatic skewering array invented by Lan Ting, cranked up to maximum power. Lu Yang had arranged for Lan Ting to assist from the shadows to exert both psychological and physical pressure on Branch Leader Chu. All of you will die. Branch Leader Chu pulled out a big scarlet flag from his storage ring. It seemed to have been soaked in fresh blood and exuded a sinister aura. As soon as the blood-red flag appeared, the temperature around them dropped by several degrees. Branch Leader Chu spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. The blood-red flag absorbed its master's blood, becoming even more eerie. The four of them could vaguely hear the cries of ghosts. Can't you use a proper weapon for once? Why do you always come up with such bizarre and creepy items all the time? Lu Yang spat out a mixture of blood and phlegm. With his sword light leaping like a dragon returning to the sea, he sped through the earth with shrinking earth and suddenly darted out from beneath Branch Leader Chu. Branch Leader Chu retreated by a step as the big flag and sharp sword clashed, producing a sonorous metallic sound. Lu Yang danced with his sword, unleashing a flurry of movements that resembled the pattern of a flower, alternating between speeds in a mesmerizing display. The heaven-shaking six forms emerged once again as Meng Jingzhou rushed over to provide support. His fist seals thundered, and he landed a series of punches on the flagpole, nearly throwing Branch Leader Chu into disarray. A massive tree descended from above. With a furious roar, Man Ji Yu smashed the gigantic tree toward Branch Leader Chu. Fire Dragon Talisman. A voice rang from within the forest as Lan Ting swiftly used her blood as ink to draw a talisman. A crimson fire dragon bellowed and brandished its claws threateningly, its fiery presence scorching the air and alleviating the eerie atmosphere brought about by the blood-red flag. There's a fourth person. Branch Leader Chu's eyes bulged in fury as he gnashed his teeth. This traitor Lu Yang. He has really made ample preparations. Wind control wave. Branch Leader Chu gripped the flagpole tightly and suddenly slammed it into the ground with a shout. Shockwaves of sound and energy rolled forth, knocking over the three of them and dispersing the fire dragon. Branch Leader Chu had gone mad, his eyes bloodshot. If I hadn't been struck by the flying vessel right at the beginning and didn't have to allocate some of my spirit energy to suppress the poison, how could I have been put at such a disadvantage? He suddenly jumped, thrusting the flagpole at Man Ji Yu, who was lying on the ground. Man Ji Yu hurriedly tried to dodge, but it was too late. He had only managed to move half of his body when the flagpole pierced through his shoulder blade. Blood flowed from between Man Gu's teeth, but he did not utter a single cry of pain. The ancient barbarian tribe fears no pain and death. Branch Leader Chu was relentless, wanting to add another kick to trample Man Gu's brain into a mush mixture. However, Meng Jingzhou seized the opportunity to toss out a magical artifact with an incensed yell. The magical artifact exploded, throwing Branch Leader Chu off balance and blasting him away. On the other hand, since Man Ji Yu was impaled to the ground, he was unharmed. Meng Jingzhou had many treasures with him, but they were of too high a grade, so he couldn't activate or self-detonate them. Branch Leader Chu kicked a boulder into smithereens, using the force to propel himself back. He retrieved the flag on his way, preparing to swipe it at Meng Jingzhou. Before he could do that, however, the Qingfeng sword appeared right in front of him, deflecting the big flag. Lu Yang once again engaged in a fierce battle with Branch Leader Chu. Lu Yang had already mastered the spell Shrinking Earth to perfection. Whenever Branch Leader Chu's hits were about to strike him, he would shrink himself and evade the attack, enraging Branch Leader Chu so much that he ground his teeth. Meanwhile, Meng Jingzhou and Man Ji Yu regrouped after their setbacks, launching yet another attack. At the same time, Lan Ting drew talismans with both hands. One water and one fire dragon soared into the sky, intertwining as they pounced toward Branch Leader Chu. Having had enough of such humiliation, Branch Leader Chu planted the flagpole into the ground. The flag flapped in the wind like waves in the sea. Wails and howls of ghosts echoed from within, disrupting the minds of those nearby. Ghosts' mind disruption. The sounds of the ghosts seemed to possess an indescribable enchanted power that froze the four of them in place. They all felt as if ghosts had entangled themselves around their bodies, preventing them from budging an inch. Meng Jingzhou's heart tightened. He wanted to scream and warn everyone that it was just an illusion, but not only was he unable to move, but he also couldn't even speak. Branch Leader Chu laughed maniacally. This was his trump card. He initially didn't want to use it as he found it beneath him. These 4 brats have pushed me too far. I can't be bothered about holding back my trump card anymore. I must kill all of them to wipe away my humiliation. Break. The Qingfeng sword descended from the sky, as swift as lightning. Before Branch Leader Chu could react, it had already pierced through his head. Branch Leader Chu stared at Lu Yang in disbelief. He saw Lu Yang's clear eyes and the mocking smile tugging at his lips. He's completely unaffected by the illusion. Why can you still move? How is this possible? Branch Leader Chu collapsed backward to the ground, blood streaming from his 7 orifices. Lu Yang thrust his sword into Branch Leader Chu's dantian and shattered his golden core. Only then could he be assured that Branch Leader Chu was truly dead. I have no interest in telling a dead person that I had created my own technique, Clear Heart and True Nature mantra, under Big Senior Sister's guidance. It allows one to stay true to themselves and see through the essence of things. He had just begun cultivating with it and still couldn't discern the essence of things, but resisting the effects of illusionary domains and dreamscapes from cultivators a level higher was still manageable. Meanwhile, the inspecting officer had been delayed by various matters and had just arrived from a neighboring commandery. He recalled Branch Leader Chu saying that he had a surprise for him and that the new recruit Lu Yang was a rare talent who would definitely shine during the Spring Harvest Festival. This is the surprise little Chu was talking about. Despite having lived for 100 years, it was the inspecting officer's first time encountering such a surprise. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audiobook to stay updated with our latest stories. And never miss out on a great listen.